Hi.
Ah!
We're here. Kind of. Not really.
Well, I
Kind
mean,
of.
we are.
Here.
We're here. It's
are we-
just
Oh, I need to.
we're not all
get
with
some
it.
stuff. Yeah, not everyone's here. I gotta do some stuff really quickly, but don't worry.
So I'm pulling up my resources for tonight's festivities.
Don't worry. We're good. I'm just the.
Doesn't sound good, Brennan.
No, it's
Doesn't
because
sound good.
the tier maker thing was set to a specific window name, and because this is not that window name, it wasn't actually showing on the thing. But we're good now. Getting fixed. Nobody can see anything other than the Welcome to Elysia thing, which, whatever. But that, background stuff for me.
Well, I'll kick off our introductions then. Hi,
Yeah.
everyone. Welcome to the
Hi.
Elysia stream, which is not technically happening tonight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Arthur and Sentinel cannot join us due to reasons. And Nerdy is having some internet trouble, but he's still here.
He's here on his phone.
In a slightly reduced capacity, which is preventing us from doing a small one-shot I prep. So we are going to be doing a tier list tonight
Of the
where
5E
we will be
races.
ranking the 5E races.
Yep.
So I hope
Nightmare.
it'll be
Three
amazing.
ranking are gonna be ranking races.
Yep.
On
Yeah.
who is best. If
Yeah.
Just be aware that you are being watched, and we will find you.
Thank you, someone on Tier Maker. I don't know who made this, but thank you for having a fully updated list of everything. So
Yeah,
I didn't have to
we
pull up
found a nice-
Photoshop.
We found a very nice ranking on Tier Maker here. So
Actually,
I'd
looks
say
really good. I like it.
let's not waste any time because there are a lot of 5E races.
I have
And they're
them all
introducing-
pulled up.
They introduce more in every book, and then there's like a whole book coming out that I don't remember the name of it. That's going to introduce 20 races or something like that. So just
Oh.
hold on to your pants.
There's gonna be a lot of race options. It'd be great.
I feel like Wizards is doing that like right as 5e is ending. So they're just like, here's the kitchen sink. So those who are going to continue to play this once our 6th edition inevitably comes out, here you go. And now here's 6th edition, buy our shit again, and you only got the same core 5 races again.
Yep, do it
Time for
again.
Human,
Okay.
elf, orc, no.
The real question is, if we're still playing, do we all upgrade to 6th edition, or do we say F it and keep playing 5th?
I don't know.
Funny enough, even if 6 came out, was it coming? Well, I don't know if it's actually 6, but they're supposed to be coming out with an update or making some announcement. What, 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said they have like a big. thing for 23.
Let's just assume it ends up being. It'll either probably be a 5.5 or a 6th edition.
There's no question that it's 5.5 or 6.
Even if they announced a 6th edition, I'd be like, I'm not upgrading. I still have like 8 campaign books I haven't played yet. I have content for years, Wizards.
I'm not. Yeah, no.
I like 5e.
I like 5e too.
I think it depends on how 6e's mechanics are. Like if it's similar, if it's basically just they're calling it 6th edition, but it's 5.5. I might pick up the new books just for the sake of like updated
I maintain
text, but...
marketing wise, I don't know if they'll dump the 5e moniker because it's so popular right now. Yeah. I could see them coming out with a 5.5 and being like, all of the updates from Xanathars and Tasha's we've made over, the years and stuff. Here's the new player's handbook that has all of the things that you've already paid for. And I'll buy it because I'm a dirty whore. And I'll fork out $60 or $30 because it'll be on Amazon for $30. And I will have all the updated rules that are spread out between like 8 books now. That I still won't have read because I own... I'm counting my books. One sec.
I think I have all of them. I think I don't physically have Fizzbands, but I think
I have 16. I have 16 D&D books, and I have not read. No, I shouldn't say I haven't read any cover to cover because I read Curse of Strahd cover to cover, but I've probably read 2 cover to cover, and that's not including the player's handbook.
I won't lie. I'm pretty sure I own all of the player-based books. I think I've only read the player's handbook fully. I've just kind of skimmed the rest.
I have not read all of the spells in the player's handbook. I've read everything else, but I have not read the entire spell list in its entirety.
No, I can't say I've read the entire spell list either.
I said no wonder I'm such a shitty DM.
No, that
explains. Know what most of the spells are. Though. Anyways, races. 5e races.
Wait, what were you saying, Nerdy? You kind of got cut out there.
I said that explains everything.
It does. I will say, of the 3 core rulebooks, your player's handbook, your monster manual, your DM's guide, of the three of them, like the DM's guide's the most unnecessary one. I mean, the
Yeah.
magic items table's like necessary if you're playing any of the modules and stuff because they always reference it, but it's so almost unnecessary. I mean, there's some okay stuff in there, but it's basically useless.
Yeah,
It's
it's
got
just
some
like
fun variant rules in there for like
Yeah.
explosions and stuff, but
Babies, here's how you make baby's first fantasy world, basically.
but they're really using. It's just like a lot of. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a lot of like guidance without being.
we should
substance.
screw the races and we should do a D&D published 5e book tier ranking.
Honestly, I don't.
I
think
have
there's anything bad
opinions
about
on a
any
lot of
them.
them. I probably have more opinions on the books than I do the actual races.
I genuinely don't think I have any opinion about any of them. I think they're all exactly what they should be.
Yeah. There isn't really a bad book, I would say.
It's all
Maybe. I'll throw this out here.
I mean,
People
Tome of
can
Foes is kind of
criticize me. Wait, what? Which one?
Mordecon's Tome of Foes is kind of.
That was the one I was gonna say was Mordecon's Tome of Foes.
It's just a lot of the same stuff in the.
It's a lot of lore for very specific things. So
that
if you're playing with demons and you need a lot of demon lore, great.
It is a great book for demons.
Yeah, great. And then
it
it's got some really high level monsters. It's basically your monster manual part 3, but Volos is more useful and.
Yeah.
Mordecon's is.
But Mordecon's, I think, is the one that has the races in it for players, right?
No, it's Volos.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's Volos that has all the monster
guys.
races.
Yeah, Mordecon's.
Man, Mordecon's really do just be worthless, huh?
And the monster thing. The only cool thing with Mordecon's Tome of Foes is you get all like the demon, like the high power demons like Demogorgon and Orcus and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. For all of the campaigns, you never use them in.
Yeah. You'd have to make
if you want them, so
they are.
You can always throw them in somewhere. Have fun with it. Maybe your
Yeah.
players want to have a
party fighting Orcus. Go.
If you make them, it works out. Just for homebrew stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, it also gives you like good bases for just renaming them into something else.
That's very true.
Hey, with races, there's a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot of races. So let's go ahead and start. Are we just starting with the top with the
do we want to go? Okay. So do we want to just start with Player's Handbook, or just want to go down the line of the?
I'm cool. I kind of want to. Oh, you want to go down the line?
Yeah, let's go down the line. We'll get to the.
Yeah,
we'll go down the line. I'm okay with that.
There, but that's fine.
I'm okay with that.
So that means Leonin is the first, the Lion People. So what they get a +2 to Con and Strength baseline. I think as far as this is concerned, we're gonna it's +2 Con, +1 Strength. I think we're going to just ignore the Tasha's variant rules for ranking these.
Well, hey, I was gonna say we should make a blanket statement.
Yeah.
That like races being inherently smarter than each other is an issue. In general. And we, as a stream, are not pro that.
No. I look at this purely as a gameplay thing and not as any kind of narratives being written. 100% pure mechanics.
And I will say this: I think Wizards has done a pretty good job in the last years of cleaning some of that up by making like the Tasha's variant rules, where you can just take whatever ability scores you want. So. You can have an orc with a +2 to intelligence and a +2 to wisdom or whatever you want for whatever class you're playing, which is very nice. And they've gotten rid of, I believe, all the negative modifiers that you got for like Cobalt and Orc and stuff like that too.
Definitely a holdout from 3.5.
Yeah.
Where some races were like actively dumber and actively lower.
I will say I did play a Dex-based monk kobold for a birthday game I was in one time. And it was really funny having like almost no strength, but having like a ridiculously high dex. And I was a drunken master monk, so I just had this just savagely drunk kobold who was like frail as hell, like wandering around just bitch slapping people the entire time.
I love it.
I do too. All right, well let's go ahead and do this. That was our disclaimer.
Yes.
I'll say this too. Like, of all of the races here in 5e, there really isn't with the classes, maybe you can make the argument one's better than the other. I don't think there's really anything as a bad race. They all work better with certain classes if you play them straight book-wise.
There definitely are some that are better than others. I'm looking at one right now. We'll get to it. I have a lot of opinions on a couple of these.
I mean, there are some that have some sick abilities, but, like, if someone's going to play as...
One of these here is absolutely broken.
if someone's gonna play like a halfling versus an Asamir, which I think both of those are fine races, I wouldn't really say one's better than the other.
Yeah. No, definitely. But there's one or two in here right now that I can tell you right now. They're just dumb. We'll get to it though. We'll get to it. So anyways.
So Leonin, they get their +2 to con and they get one plus strength.
They got a 35 base walk speed. They do have dark vision, so that's neat. They have a baseline claw attack that's a D4 plus strength. It does slashing instead of bludgeoning, so that's cool. They get proficiency in either athletics, intimidation, perception, or survival, and then they have a bonus action that can frighten creatures in a 10-foot radius. So that's cool.
I've never played one of these before. I don't have the Theros book. I think they're kind of cool. Like if you wanted to play like a lion person. I will say that you guys haven't really encountered one yet, but in my Elysia like lore and stuff, there are lion people. So I did, was inspired by 5e with that. I like their claw attack. That's a nice thing. It's better than just an unarmed strike, and I think it might limit what you want to. Nice. Yeah, it might limit what you want to be. Like, I don't know if you want to be a monk and be a Leonin because it kind of negates that ability. Maybe
you just whip your claws out, or you don't whip your claws out.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, in the it's great for situations where like you don't have your weapons, like you're in jail or something.
Yeah, that's where
you have claw attacks and you have a D4 plus strength mod instead of just dealing 1 plus strength.
Also, too, that 35 walk speed, that 5 extra feet of walk speed.
Oh, it's really nice.
That's some chef's kiss right there.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I think that bonus action fear sounds really good too. I mean, I think of like
within 10 feet.
One thing I really like about it too is sometimes, especially in earlier races, these bonus actions, or not bonus actions, but some of these like special abilities that could frighten or do charm or do other things like that, didn't scale very well. I like that it's an 8 plus your proficiency plus your con, so there's a great chance for that to scale as the game continues. I'm good giving these guys a good solid A, I think.
I think so too. I think they're pretty neat.
Yeah.
Honestly, this kind of makes me want to play. The only struggle is they're forced common Leonin, but that's okay for languages. Yeah. Not that languages. I mean, when languages do matter, that kind of sucks.
How I feel about languages too is there's so many classes that can give you additional languages. Yeah. Usually,
backgrounds usually give you a language.
Yeah. I'm good giving Leonin an A.
I do too.
Yeah. Fair.
Matt, what's your opinion, or Darian, I should say?
Oh, I'm thinking A tier. I just think of all the implications of going in, and I don't know if it's a 10-foot area of effect or if it's like a single target within 10 feet. But that fear sounds amazing.
Look at it.
Yeah.
I think it's anything. It's bonus action. Creatures of your choice within 10 feet of you that can hear you must succeed on the Wisdom save or become frightened until the end of the next turn.
I just pictured the boosted movement speed along with them doing some sort of like tanky class. They just jump in, fear everybody, and
like a barbarian or a fighter going in.
It's a really good ability, like low levels too, when enemies may not have a good save against that.
Yeah.
And if you're level 1 and you just walk in and just do this ability and smoke out a bunch of your opponents, and that's a life or death save right there.
Oh yeah, disadvantage is huge on.
Almost makes me want to bump them, but there's a few I am thinking S for.
No, there is 100% some that are S tier, and we're about to hit it right now with one of them.
Oh,
the satyr is broken. All right,
so I need to read here.
The satyrs get a +2 to charisma, +1 to dex. The rage, age,
just ignore all that because that's all role-playing stuff. You just do the speed.
35 walk speed, so also fast creature. They're considered fey instead of humanoid, which is actually really good.
That is kind of broken when you think about it. There
There's
are a lot of
more
spells
though.
That only target humanoid creatures.
There's more. So they get the ram, so you can use your head on your horns to do an unarmed strike. So if you hit with them, you do bludgeoning damage to 1d4 plus strength. So they get an additional.
They basically get the claw attack again.
Yep. They have magic resistance, so you have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. That's baseline. You just get
inherent.
that.
Just inherent.
Also, whenever you make a longer high jump, you can roll a d8, add that to the number of feet you cover. Even when making a standing jump, the extra distance costs normal movement. And you get performance and persuasion as proficiency. And you have proficiency in 1 musical instrument, and you get common and Sylvan as your language.
So,
straight up advantage on all
magical resistance is an ability that you see on high-level monsters frequently.
So
as
I think
a
few subclasses that might have that too.
There might be a few subclasses, but I mean, like, going
literally
through... We were just
all
talking about Mordekins
saving
and those
throws
enemies.
against spells and magical effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
all. Not just
that
like
is an
wisdom,
OP
all
ability.
of them.
Yeah, just
There
anything.
is a somewhat infamous build with the Satyr called the Nope Goat, where, yeah, it's a really funny name. You take like Mage Slayer as a feat. There's like a specific class you go that's like really good at fighting mages. You go counter spell. You just stand on mages with your 35-foot range. Your 35-foot movement. You have advantage on all saving throws against magic. You hit them with your Mage Slayer. They can't do anything, and you just laugh in their face as you tell them, "No, you can't cast spells right now."
Well, that's two. Not overlooking the magic resistance, but two other great abilities. One, you get
They get the
5
horns.
extra feet of move.
Yeah, they get the 5
Yep.
feet. They don't
You're
have dark
also,
vision though.
Yes, you don't have dark vision. You're also a Fae and not a humanoid. There are a lot of spells that are like, this targets a humanoid.
Hold person.
So those would just have no effect on you.
Yeah, you cannot be targeted with hold person, and even if you could, you have advantage.
And you get the ram attack, so you also get that D4 plus strength mod like the Leonin does. I'm game just for magic resistance alone. This
Oh no, magic resistance is straight up stupid on this thing.
Yeah, I would agree.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, it's so dumb. I don't know what they were thinking with that one.
I love
that
it.
is not an ability a player should have baseline.
I know it in the next campaign.
I like
right?
it.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, and if you built your satyr in a way where you could make yourself more resistant to things like a barbarian, and you just give yourself a rage, so you have resistance to piercing, slashing, bludgeoning, and you have advantage on all. Like, what? You're the ultimate tank at that point, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the ultimate tank. Yeah, that is an S tier. All right, let's move on to the Aracakra.
Aracakras, they get a +2 to Dex, +1 to Wisdom. Alignment size, speed, they get 25 walking speed, which is a little slow, but they have a 50-foot flight speed.
Yeah.
However, they can't be wearing medium or heavy armor to use that. So no tanky Aracakras that fly. You have to be a light armor user.
Yeah.
Unless you're
what'd you say?
Unless you're a barbarian.
True.
Because they don't need to wear the armor.
That's very true.
Which is why you see a lot of Aracakra monks specifically for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a talent attack, so instead of an unarmed strike, they get a D4 slashing plus strength mod. A lot of the beast races you're gonna see that with. And they get common, Aracakra, and Orin as races. No baseline proficiencies in anything, just that stuff.
So big thing that stands out to me with Aracakra is the flight ability.
The flight is huge.
I mean, if flight is huge, if you have a ranged weapon, you can.
Or you're a spellcaster.
Yeah, or you're a spellcaster. You
50 foot in the air, chucking firebolts or something.
There's the big meme going around that a level 2 Artificer Aracakra can kill a Tarrasque because they can outfly the creature. Granted, in terms of real, like, if you actually played it out, the amount of time to do that would be impossible, but it is a meme going around. But besides fly, there ain't a whole lot I'm overly impressed with.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right. They put all their eggs in the flight basket, which I think limits what classes you can be.
If you want it, yeah.
If you wanted to.
If you wanted to.
Because you can be any spellcaster technically, because most of them don't get heavy armor or medium armor, and you're gonna mage armor yourself anyways half the time.
Yep.
Ranger, rogue.
Yeah, rangers, rogues, barbarians, and monks.
Barbarian.
Pretty much it's just like fighter, and paladin, and cleric.
Yeah, those aren't gonna. If you're trying to hack and slash, it's not gonna go super well for you.
But
also the itself, it kind of makes sense. If you have that kind of flight speed, then that would be more or less what you would do.
You're gonna want to abuse your flight speed a little bit more than anything, honestly. I mean, 50-foot flight speed is crazy.
That's a lot of flight speed. I mean, obviously
that's a lot of movement. Just
your movement. And the nice thing too is you can not only walk, but then you can fly that 50 feet too, because they're considered two different movements.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So technically, you could, if I remember the rules right, you could technically go 75 feet in one.
I don't remember.
Round if you walked and then flew. However, I feel like this is a B just because it doesn't get a whole lot else, and it's a little limiting.
Honestly, I'm okay with that. It's not bad. It's not great. It's kind of average. flight speed's pretty good, but
how do our two others feel about the B for the Aracakra?
I'd agree. I almost like all the eggs in the flight basket idea.
It's really cool though. 50 feet.
Then
I mean, if you build it, it's good.
Yeah, and it feels balanced. Like you can't wear medium or heavy armor because of it. Like there's pros and cons. Whereas Satyr has no drawbacks.
Nope.
Like
it's just good.
Yeah.
The only drawback to Satyr is you don't have dark vision. That's the only drawback.
What I will say, what I'll say with the rankings and in like my opinion is like a B isn't bad. Like a B is will work
definitely good.
For a specific campaign or specific class / subclass combo. Where S tier is like I'd almost say is broken kind of thing. Like
S tier is 100%.
Why did they give this? To
why
the
are you not playing this race all the time?
Yeah, basically. But
I feel like this is only for min-maxing people.
Yes, for a min-maxing perspective, obviously. From a pure mechanic standpoint, there's no reason to not be Satyr.
Yeah. Satyrs would rule the world.
Assuming they exist in the world. They are technically a Theros race, so...
Ethan, next week we're going to TPK and the new party's just going to be like 5 Satyrs.
4 Satyrs.
Bunch of Satyrs.
That'd be hilarious. Alright, let's move on to the Genasi.
Genasi's
This was Prince Taran was our Genasi.
I have also played a Genasi. They're kind of neat.
Yeah, I like Genasi.
They get common and primordial for the languages. Unfortunately, this one's a little all over the place because of the various Genasi subraces. But all Genasis get common primordial. They get a +2 to Constitution, and they have 30-foot walking speed. And then there's the air, earth, fire, and water Genasi, which all get something special, which I believe generally is they get one spell that's kind of related to their element, and then they get usually some kind of extra ability, and then a +1 to a ability score related. Air gets a +1 to Dex. They can hold their breath indefinitely, and they can cast Levitate once per long rest. Yep. Earth gets a +1 strength. They can move across difficult terrain made of earth or stone without using extra movement. They can cast Path Without a Trace once per long rest. Fire gets a +1 intelligence. They get dark vision, resistance to fire damage, and they know produce flame, and then once they get 3rd level, they get burning hands, which they can cast once per long rest. All of these are using Con as their spellcasting ability as well, as a note. And then the water gets a +1 wisdom, resistance to acid. They can breathe in air and water, 30-foot swim speed, and they can do shape water, and at 3rd level, create or destroy water as a 2nd level spell once per long rest.
So I am a sucker for the races that give you a ton of additional like choices when you make your race.
Super cool.
Dwarfs do that. Genasi does that. The Eladrin sort of do that, but it lets you like switch as you're playing them. Huge sucker for that. I love the customization. Just all around, whatever campaign you're playing, you can make a Genasi work for it. You're in a Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign, boom, I'm a water Genasi, I can swim. You're in a Descent of Avernus, you're in Hells, you're around fire, boom, I'm a fire Genasi. Look at me do fire stuff. So
and have resistance to fire damage. Woo.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal. You could have a party of Genasi and everyone's a different Genasi and they all do something different. I think it's great.
It's always really fun to have that.
And none of their abilities are like bad either. I won't really know abilities bad, but there's none I'm just kind of like
meh.
Yeah, about they're all. I mean,
First Genasi is the weakest out of all.
Definitely. I mean, Pass Without a Trace is still a good spell, but Earthwalk is
spell,
a pretty. It is a pretty like non-consequential ability because it's so specific.
I did find it interesting. Fire Genasis get a +1 to intelligence. That's an
both air and Earth Genasis only get the one spell, and that's it. It doesn't go up higher.
Fire and water
at high levels.
The 3rd level additional spell.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean,
which is weird.
It is a little weird, but I mean, fire is probably. I mean, it kind of depends on the situation, but I think fire is generally better.
That's what's cool about the
Genasi. Dark vision.
One.
They're all good.
Yeah, a +2 to Constitution I feel like is good for any class. Because Constitution, health, more health is always a good thing, regardless of what you are.
Correct.
Oh, I want to be a rogue Genasi? Boom, I'm an air Genasi. I'll take my dexterity. I want to be a wizard Genasi? Boom, I'm a fire Genasi. Give me my +1 to intelligence. So they can do everything. And I'm trying. Is there an ability that they don't? Charisma. The only thing I don't get is a
charisma, and they don't get strength.
Yeah.
No, they do.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Earth does get strength. Yeah,
strength.
never mind. Yeah, they don't get charisma, and
that's it.
Because they get the +2 to con.
Yeah. I'm getting good giving Genasi an A. Solid, very tight. Almost an S in my opinion.
I definitely don't think it is Satyr.
I would probably say like.
But it is very, very good.
Fire Genasi and Water Genasi could be S tier.
Yes, I would agree with that. But
Genasi, and then
air definitely.
Earth would just be A. Yeah. Just because you get 2 free spells, if you're playing a warlock, getting 2 free spells a day, it's like you're just like doing all your bits.
Especially since like burning hands and produce flames for fire, which are actually like really solid spells
good
to have.
Spell.
Yeah, like especially burning hands. Burning hands is
fire,
great.
Just like boom, right off the top, right off the jump, a whole damage type just like halved.
Yeah, it's huge.
If you're a rogue with evasion, you're just like taking 2 points of damage from a fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Resistance acid damage for water is pretty nice too. It's not super common, but
still
nice.
But also like shape water, you can just have that.
Yeah. You just get
ultimate right off the top.
And it's not even shape water once per day. It's you just know shape water. You can just do that. Same thing with produce flame with fire. You just get that. That's a thing you have now.
That's crazy.
It is great.
Yeah, I'm a big Genasi fan. I always
they're fun.
They're fun.
Genasi in the campaign.
All right, so we're moving him to A.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and jump to Goliath.
Goliath. We've had a Goliath. Not in this party or this.
Different.
But
different group. We had a Goliath.
They're neat actually. Sorry, it's taking me a little bit to get there because I was. There we go. Goliath.
Wait, who played a Goliath?
It was a different group that Brendan and I were in.
Yeah, the Frost Maiden one. We had a Goliath in our party.
Yeah, short Frost Maiden campaign.
Yeah. All right, so Goliaths, they're a great tanky race. They get +2 strength, +1 con, so big strong boys. Still only a medium size, unfortunately, but that's okay. 30-foot walk speed. They get proficiency in athletics. They have Stone's Endurance, so you can focus yourself to occasionally shrug off injury. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d12. Add your con mod to the number rolled, and reduce the damage by that total. You can do that once per short or long rest. They count as one size larger when determining carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. They have resistance to cold, since they've been mountain people, and they get common and giant as their language. Which, I believe there is only one race in all of 5e that does not get common, and that is the Grung. Fun fact: Grung does not learn common based on.
I was gonna say we will see the Grung come up shortly. I think. So Goliath.
Goliaths are cool.
They're cool. Stone's Endurance is kind of cool, especially
really nice.
At earlier levels. I don't know how well it scales.
Yeah, I mean it's D12 plus con, and that's it. So you get at most 17.
Yeah. So. That could be the difference between a life and death attack, though. I mean, if I'm
especially at low level.
Yeah, at low level, that's basically at low level. You can just not take any damage from a hit. Especially like super low level, like 1 or 2. Yeah. That's easily shrugging off a full blow.
The powerful build.
Also, I was gonna say, if you within the context of the D&D lore / world, like a commoner on average has like 6 hit points. So like. When you're thinking like a race of people in this fictional world that could shrug off 17 bits of damage, that's a pretty strong being in existence. Though from a game perspective, it's kind of like
I feel like it's great until level 8.
Yeah, once you start getting to like around 10 and higher.
One thing I do like about it, it's all damage types. It just says when you take damage. Yeah. It's not like a specific type or like just physical damage or something like that. So, you get blasted with a dragon's fire breath. Boom. I'm using Stone's Endurance to shave off a little bit of that damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think not having your proficiency modifier, which I think if you put your proficiency mod in there, it might make it a little ridiculous, but that doesn't scale amazing. The other one I want to bring up to is powerful build, where I think it seems cool. you count as a large size when being able to determine your carrying capacity and what
Specifically
you can push.
one size larger. So if you get enlarged, you're technically a gigantic creature, I think, whatever the next step above large is.
My only complaint with that is I think it really, really depends on your DM. If they are very big on carrying capacity and what you can push and drag and lift as a character, super useful. If you don't have a DM, like I'll be honest, I don't usually pay attention to that type of crunchy stuff when I DM. It's one of those things where it's like, I want to pick up this like boulder, and you're like, you can't do that. I'm a Goliath. I have this ability. Oh well, I guess you pick up that boulder. That kind of stuff. So it's a shaky ability. I do like the resistance to cold damage though.
That's nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
I don't think cold damage is quite as common as like fire or some
fire
of the other ones.
Is I think the most common damage type.
But anytime you get a resistance, man, that is you get a wizard or enemy mage cast Cone of Cold, you just got resistance to that.
Good idea.
Yeah. Fighting a white dragon. That dragon? Half damage already, and you can add a D12 to reduction.
That's true.
They make for great fighters and barbarians as well.
This feels really situational. Like if you were doing an Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostbane campaign, Goliath, because a lot of things do cold damage in that campaign. There's an ancient white dragon that's like beyond ancient white dragon in terms of power that you go up against. Goliath it's there. For a lot of other stuff, I get a little concerned, and it's kind of. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Oh no, sorry.
No, his thing turned off for a second.
Okay.
His camera. We're good.
I feel like it's a C personally.
I think. I mean, I guess it depends. What's our criteria for B rank, right? Because
B, I am saying
we said Aracakra was like great in, or like really good in the right like combination and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Goliath would fit that because in the right setting, they are really good.
Generous, but the difference between the Aracakra and the Goliath is that you can always fly.
That's true.
That's always.
Yes.
But I mean, you're technically always resistant to cold. You always can reduce by a D12.
But I can use flight in every scenario. Yeah. Resistance to cold only works if I get attacked by cold damage, which may or may not happen.
I mean, Sun's Endurance is always a nice ability, though.
It is.
It becomes really weak later on.
I think if it has scalability, it would be.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's a C, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I feel like most races don't usually scale with their abilities.
Except Satyr, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's because Satyr is just ridiculous.
Satyr.
They're on a different level. They're playing a different game. I guess I'm okay with C.
Darian, how do you feel?
I was thinking it was gonna be either B or C, but if it was B, I would like. I was thinking we have to move the Genasi and the Leonin. Because I feel like I feel like we want to like make Genasi a little bit higher. I don't know. I just associate further to the left as higher tier.
Yeah, I right now I'm not. I can do that. I haven't been.
I
have not been doing it by order or anything like that. It's
no, I was just thinking that because with like Goliath, if it was B tier, it'd have to be behind.
Yeah, behind the
Aracakra. Behind the
Aracakra. I personally think it's C. I think it's a high C, but I think it's C.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And it's free proficiency as well, which is always nice.
Gotta be C.
True. There's got to be some C's in here.
Yeah, it's true. And there's got to be some C's, and we'll see if we get any D's. All right, let's move on to Asamir. I actually can talk about this.
I love this race.
Yeah, I also love Asamir.
I have played it.
Asamir.
Unfortunately, it didn't go well, but I did play it.
Again?
Great.
Three choices.
Three
choices.
Technically 4 because of variant Asamir, but so as far as Asamir go, or Asamir, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. Charisma +2. So already great paladins and great warlocks and great bards, technically. They're considered same size as humans. 30-foot walk speed. They have dark vision. They have resistance to necrotic and radiant damage.
2.
Oh man.
Which are 2 like kind of common ones. They're not super common from creatures, but necrotic does come up.
It's so common.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single BBEG or like higher level bad guy, necrotic damage like almost constant.
Yeah.
Radiant, not as much, but if you're playing a Kill God campaign, there you go. They get healing
I was gonna
hands.
say, if you fight any angelic like creatures, that resistance to radiant is huge.
Yeah, so as an action, you can touch a creature, cause it to regain hit points equal to your level. Once you use this trait, you can't do it again until you finish the long rest. Great, just pick me up in the middle of combat. They just no light as a cantrip, just permanently. And then they get common and celestial, and then their sub races pretty much are just like a. You kind of just pick what transformation you want, and you get an additional +1 to something. The Fallen.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, the Fallen gets a +1 to strength, and they get Necrotic Shroud. So at 3rd level, they all come online at 3rd level with their like transformation. You transform into like your your angel form or whatever, which is going to be the case for all of them. Which I believe they all last as a minute. I think it's a action to do it. And then with this one specifically, the instant you transform, other creatures within 10 feet of you that can see you must make a charisma save of 8 plus your proficiency plus charisma mod, or become frightened until the end of your next turn. And this lasts for a minute, and you can do so again on a long rest. Specifically during it, once on each of your turns, you can deal extra necrotic damage to one target when you deal damage to it with an attack or a spell. And that damage is equal to your level, which is upwards of 20 free necrotic damage. Protector Asamir gets a +1 to Wisdom. They get Radiant Soul, so at 3rd level they can use their action to make their eyes glimmer and whatnot and get their wings. They get a minute of it, and they can end it as a bonus action. They have 30-foot flight speed, and on each of their turns they can deal extra Radiant to a target and deal damage with it with an attack or a spell. It's equal to their level. Again, once per long rest. There's the Scourge Asamir, which gets a +1 con, and then they can do another big transformation thing, so they last for a minute, and that is bonus action. They shed bright light in a 10-foot radius and deal an additional 10 feet. At the end of each of your turns, you and each creature within 10 feet of you take radiant damage equal to half your level rounded up. In addition, once on each of your turns, you can deal extra radiant damage to one target equal to your level, same as the other ones. And then variant is like a whole separate race from the other ASMR. The sub races.
The Dungeon Master guide here.
I believe so. It's the DMG one.
I didn't even know Asamir was a race in the Dungeon Master.
Yeah,
guide
they have a because it's one like the monsters or whatever, so they have that as like a variant race thing.
I mean, I know about like the Fallen Paladin and Death Domain Cleric and stuff, or Oathbreaker Paladin, excuse me.
But they get a +1. Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter too much, but they get.
I would just focus. I think most people know.
It's kind of like a little amalgamation of the other ones.
Yeah. Honestly,
but the main three are really good.
Volo's Asamir S tier for me. Choice. You get. Take it away.
I wanted to say so. I play Asamirs all the time. I wanted to say a couple things. This particular race, you have to break it down by the subclasses because the subclasses are so different. And like, for example, the Scourge Asamir, I would put at D. I would put the Scourge Asamir at D.
Yeah, you do damage yourself every turn.
You hurt yourself, everyone around you, no save, no ability to protect your friends or your party or yourself.
You just take damage.
You just take. There should be no thing that forces you to take damage, like just in general, that you just take. That's you resist it, but like that's insane. Like, so that should be the lowest bit. Like, if there could be like an F tier, I would say that, because that's ridiculous. The whole game is about
not divvied up by sub races on the
list.
list.
I agree with that.
But yeah, no, I definitely think Scourge is the weakest.
I was gonna say I always look at Fallen and
Fallen and Protector are like the two
anyone ever you are very right on the Scourge one damaging yourself. So just because of that, that is actually gonna definitely knock it for me a bit here.
I don't think it's necessarily as broken as Satyr or another race coming up that is just stupid, but it's definitely like A tier in my mind. But Protector's great. I played the Fallen and it was super cool.
Flying speed.
You get like 2 charisma speed. And another bit. You get a flight speed. You get extra damage compared to your level. Like the Protector Asamir is like the other end of the spectrum. It's like you get to heal people. Like you could be a martial class. You could be a casting class. You literally, that's triple S tier for me personally. 2 resistances to damages, just like period, plus a cantrip. Like it's light, but still, you get it.
Well, it's still a great
something.
cantrip. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a utility cantrip through and through. One you don't have to take.
You don't have to, like, if you took a fighter and went level 20 and didn't take any magic stuff, you still have free magical healing, flight, and radiant damage.
Yeah.
Fighting paladins on on the same level in their house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I'm doing radiant damage too, and not even wasting spell slots.
Yeah, it's true.
In fairness, though, you're not doing like 5d8 radiant damage or whatever.
And you have to wait for a long. You can only
you only do it once for a long, like for a minute.
But when you pop it at that moment where it matters, like you're on the boss and you're like, pop, it's like, fuck, you're gonna just.
And you can heal yourself.
Points of damage.
You can heal yourself.
Yeah.
It's like.
It's another one of those low level, like I'm level 1 and I just have free healing. This is immediately amazingly useful at this moment in the campaign. Free healing. Anytime you get free healing, it's amazing.
The only thing that I like about the class is that the Fallen Asamir, it's the rest of its stuff does the same, and that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, why does a Fallen Asamir have the ability to heal people? You would think there would different thing, and why do they fight cantrip? Because, like, again, you feel like that should be like they get darkness once per long rest or something. You know what I mean? Like, it makes more sense to like flavor it towards the whole point of being a Fallen Asamir. But even outside all of that, with the exception of the Scourge Asamir, which I think is actually the worst race in the game, like, I would say it'd be that.
Well, okay, so linking Scourge Asamir in there because it is part of the race, the whole race here. What would you give it?
I would say because Protector is so good and Scourge is so bad, I would put it at B.
I agree. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, with what you were saying, I think it's a B, maybe a low A. If you want to say that 2 of the 3 are really good or pretty good, and 1's really bad. But you are right. The fact that you damage yourself just sucks.
And everyone around you. Like,
and
you
everyone
could
around you.
fight in a group. Like, you'd have to be off by yourself.
That's like the Death Domain Claire or I'm sorry, the Oathbreaker Paladin has this amazing ability to like give undead like strength modifiers, which is fantastic if you're a bad guy, but when you're a good guy fighting undead, it just makes all your enemies more powerful if you use it. So it's like super useless.
It's like the barbarian. I know we're not doing classes, but the barbarian the elemental rage or whatever, and it's like I do fire damage within 15 feet of me to everything that's around, regardless of whether or not they're friend or foe.
Yeah,
that does not encourage party play. Like that particular class is like, I'm a solo fighter, and then this particular race does the same thing.
I agree 100%. B, it's a B for me.
I personally think it's A tier, just because it's Fallen and Protector are really, really good. Baseline abilities are also just really strong in general. Like,
what does Darian think?
The thing that really sucks is Scourge's transformation. Everything else is still like a +1 to con is still good.
I'd argue we put it low A. I'd say low A over B just because of how good the other 2 are.
I could be cool with that.
I'm cool with low A.
I don't think Asamir they're just they're a fun race to play.
They just I like them. The Asamir just save their butts.
Yeah. Fallen's also just a really neat one to have.
Because of how ridiculously good it is.
Even if flavor is a little all over the place with it, but it's still fun. Anyways, bugbears.
Bugbear.
These things are a little nutty, but they're not like super broken.
Bugbear.
They do have some really crazy stuff though. There's some fun builds for bugbears. So they get +2 to strength and +1 to dex, which is a little weird, but you know, it do be like that sometimes. Size is medium, 30-foot walk speed, 60-foot dark vision. They have long limbs, so when they make a melee attack, their reach is 5 feet greater than normal, which, when paired with Sentinel, is just absolutely stupid.
Pole arm.
Yeah, Polearm Master Sentinel bugbears. Have fun literally ever hitting it. They get powerful build, just like the Goliath, so they're counted as 1 size larger for carrying capacity and pushing and dragging and stuff. They gain proficiency in stealth, baseline, which is crazy. And then they have surprise attacks. So if you surprise a creature and hit it with an attack on your first turn in combat, it deals 2d6 extra damage. You can only do that once per combat. And then they get Common and Goblin for their languages, which surprise attack is crazy, but not that crazy.
Honestly, I think surprise attack is
it's great at low level, and then you get like level 5, and it's like, okay, I think
it's a trap in general, because how many times do you enter combat with a surprise creature where you're able to attack them like that?
I mean, they have proficiency in stealth, so the idea here is you're probably going to try to be a little stealthy about it, and then show up and hit them with the first round hit, but it's not going to come up very often. But it is still nice. Really, the big thing is long-limbed is just kind of really good.
Yeah, long-limbed is I think is their crowning achievement. I mean, you know, you get 10 feet with a standard weapon, 15 with a pole arm.
Yep.
Like you said, throw pole arm, master with sentinel feats. I mean, you're just
you can literally hit things from 15 feet away as they approach you and stop their movement entirely.
I do say, and I realize this is like part of the monster stat block too, but the fact that they are proficient in stealth just cracks me up, because
it's
like
so funny,
unstealthy looking thing on the planet.
Like they literally, it feels like so anti-flavor for them to be proficient in stealth.
But that's what makes it fun. Is that they are
they're literally 6 to 8 feet tall and 250 to 350 pounds, and you're telling me this thing can sneak around better than some other races?
They're just so lanky that they just like blend in with things, because they can just like squeeze themselves into places.
They're so funny.
They have Sasquatch ability. They just make themselves.
Yeah, they're literally just giant Sasquatch.
No one's seen a real bugbear. You just had that video of the one with its knuckles dragging at you through the trees. I don't have a lot to say about this.
I honestly, I think they're kind of C. They're not bad.
I think they're a C too. I think they're a C also.
They're pretty average. Like, you know, powerful build, cool, whatever. Long-limbed is really broken if you really want to build it that way, but people can still hit you. Ranged attacks exist.
I'm gonna make a toss out here real quick for this one, and you can disagree with me. I won't be upset. D tier. Because because if I take everything Bugbear offers me, you've got your +2 strength, your 1 dex, you've got
dark vision, 30-foot walk speed, pretty standard
which
stuff.
is a standard for a lot of races, and then sneaking surprise attack. I'll just be a rogue at that point, like. So I just feel like this is one of these races, and I know a lot of these like monster Volo races, they were like, hey, these might suck or be really
they were
OP.
not,
we just kind of threw them together, have fun. Everything in this race here, there's nothing in here besides maybe Long Limb that I would say I can't get somewhere else better.
I don't agree with that.
That's why I say
it doesn't feel cohesive.
I agree. Yeah.
It does feel a little weird.
There's 100 other. Well, there's not 100 because there's not 100 races, but there's like 10 or 15 other combinations I could probably put together that would do this better. Like if I'm like, I want to be a fighter with the ability to have proficiency in stealth and a surprise attack, and be like, well, then just multi-class, branch out in the rogue for like 2 or 3 levels. Like, dude, like, why do you
have a background that has a stealth proficiency? Like,
yeah, that's another big one. Have a background with a stealth proficiency. I mean, it's a D for me. Look, it's a D.
Now that I think about it too, because like long-limbed is great, and if you're gonna do Sentinel Polar Master, 15-foot reach, kind of dumb, but also you can do that on any character and it's 10 feet, and it doesn't make a difference.
It makes it literally you have to do that.
Yeah.
If you're to do that build, then it's super great.
And even then, that build is just good on any race. It's just now they keep them 5 feet further away. Ooh, that makes such a difference.
Right. It's a D. It's a D for me.
Yeah.
Are we good with that? We got our first D?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Bugbear, hilarious race to play. Man, some of these abilities though do kind of suck.
Yeah. Again, like the Volo, Monster, Bugbear, Goblin, Hobgoblin, those ones. They're almost like mean. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to be a Bugbear, not because I want to be a Bugbear, but because I'm making a dumbass character kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
D it is next. Furbolgs are kind of weird. I won't lie. So
don't get me started on Furbolgs.
So they get a +2 to Wisdom, +1 to Strength. They're a medium-sized creature, 30-foot walking speed. They can cast Detect Magic and Disguise Self, using Wisdom as their spellcasting ability. Once you cast either spell, you can't do it again until you finish a short or long rest. And when you use this version of Disguise Self, you can seem up to 3 feet shorter than normal, allowing you to more easily blend in with humans and elves. As a bonus action, you can magically turn invisible until the start of your next turn, which is a different ability, Hidden Step, or until you attack, make a damage roll, or force someone to make a saving throw. Once you use it, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So they get a 1-turn invisibility. That's cool, I guess, for bonus action. They have powerful build, so one size larger for carrying capacity and stuff. Speech of Beast and Leaf. They can communicate in a limited manner with beasts and plants. They can understand the meaning of your words, though you have no special ability to understand them in return. You have advantage on all charisma checks you make to influence them. And they get Common, Elvish, and Giant as their languages. Which, Speech of Beast and Leaf, man,
Furbolgs are broken.
It is so funny that you can talk to a tree and not have it talk back to you. but it knows you're talking to it.
You can tell the deer to go fetch you help, but you don't know if they're actually going to go do that.
You don't know if it will because it can't communicate back to you in any meaningful way.
I gotta know why is Furbolg broken?
It's broken, okay? Like, it's that the race is so hodgepodge with magical nonsense.
Yeah.
That it's just like, oh, hey, do you want to turn invisible as
that's
bonus action? Granted, it's 1 turn, but
it's a big turn.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, on top of Detect Magic.
You can do Disguise Self. You can do all this other stuff. You can talk to animals. Whether they talk to you back is kind of irrelevant because you have advantage on your charisma saving throws to influence them. So it's just like that's 2 evocations right there. Warlocks only get, like, at the first level, only get 2. One is being able to talk to animals, and they can't talk to plants, just animals. And then the other one is advantage on charisma or deception and deception. So it's just like you get all of these stuff level 1 Furbolg.
I definitely will say
Disguise Self is a good spell too to have, for role playing.
Detect Magic is great too.
Yeah.
But I will say, as far as talking with plants and animals, I feel like beasts don't really scale super hard. They don't really start coming, like, they start phasing out a lot of the time. Because once you hit, like, level 8, beasts kind of stop being threatening, and they're just a nuisance. But
it's much like...
I'll agree, but
it's like...
That's still 8 levels of I can talk to the wolf that's trying to attack me and tell it, please, no, don't hit me, friend.
That, and there's a lot of spells, there's like talk with animals and talk with plants too.
You just get that for free.
It's a whole spell slot.
Yeah.
Wait, and you can just do. And not like a certain times a day. You just kind of like...
You just do it.
Do it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I like too that even though they can't respond back, minus
you just can't understand it.
Yeah, minus some plants, like animals have reads and tells and personalities and stuff like that. So if you tell the wolf not to attack you, even though it can't be like, oh, okay, you're right, buddy, I shouldn't attack you, I'll leave now. If it turns around and leaves, it understood and listened to you. So it kind of, I can't go up to the wolf and say, I'm looking for this person. Did you see them? But even then, they could just start leading you somewhere.
Can you show me where that person is? And the wolf is like, all right, sure.
Have no special ability to understand them. Not that you couldn't just use an animal handling check or an insight check to see if you could intuit what there's. It's just it's not a natural thing that you just get to hear back. You have to do what everybody else is doing, except for you can communicate to the animal directly, like
with advantage.
With advantage. I think Furbolg should be the bane of every DM's existence. Like, a Furbolg cleric will break every single party you've ever had because it can do all the things. The end. F tier. I hate it.
Tier, all right, Furbolg, F tier. You sold it well. I'm debating putting an S, but at the same time, I don't know.
I definitely don't think it's very strong. 1 turn invisibility is great. Detect magic and disguise self once per short rest is great.
What?
Is it short rest? Yeah, short rest.
Why wouldn't you put it in S? Like, what is actively like?
Well,
oh no,
it
not
doesn't
this.
have advantage on all saving throws against magical abilities or effects.
I don't know. I don't think any other race does. So if that's
No,
our baseline for
but
what's S,
slight spoilers ahead. It's also not completely immune to a damage type.
Yeah, gnomes do, and so do Yantee Purebloods. They also have advantage.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like
we'll get
that
to
is a thing.
It is
but they
a very
also,
good thing.
They just don't have flight, but we still give it an S tier, while some other places don't, and then we don't give them the S tier. Like, I think Firbolg should be an S tier race. You could be anything, any class, and a Firbolg works just fine. You get magic, you get invisibility, you get nonsense.
I will say they're +2 wisdom. I feel like wisdom being a +2 is rarer in most racial cases. It always seems like it's dex or charisma or one of those other ones that's your +2. It's rare to see wisdom, which I like, which would make them an excellent ranger or cleric. It would make them a great cleric. So yeah, I think I would say maybe not the highest S, but I would rank it a low S.
I can agree. Definitely like bottom of S.
They are the gatekeepers of S tier. You have to be better than a
Firbolg. I'm okay with that.
I definitely
think
a satyr is better than a Firbolg.
Yeah.
Faster movement speed, better some other
Yeah.
really good abilities.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I like Firbolg and S.
Yeah, no,
Nerdy
fair.
sold me. Darian, what do you
You sold me too. I was gonna say A.
I've also been sold. We've all been sold.
We've sold.
By man.
I was thinking A. I was thinking a good A.
Oh yeah, I was
for
too.
Firbolg,
I was
like,
definitely A tier, but no.
I put it on the S tier with Venom because I don't like them. I don't like them, but I cannot deny
how great they are. Yeah. All right, Goblin.
All right, there's like a bunch of versions of goblins, so I say we just do Volos and call it a day.
Yeah,
I think that's the one most people use.
All I have here is the Volos goblins.
Yeah,
so.
there's the Dankwood goblin. There's
there's like the different book
Exilian. There is the Zendikar. I don't even know what these are, so I'm just doing Volos.
Those might be because I don't have them here on this.
They might be like weird, funky.
Yeah, maybe
funky.
They may be like specific things from specific adventure books. Because sometimes those will happen too.
Anyways, rock and roll.
+2 to Dex, +1 to Con. They're considered a small size creature. 30-foot movement, which is interesting for a small size creature. Usually they get 25. 60-foot dark vision. When you damage a creature with an attack, so Fury of the Small, when you damage a creature with an attack or a spell, and the creature size is larger than yours, which will be the majority of anything you ever fight, you can cause the attack or spell to deal extra damage to the creature equal to your level. Once you do this, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. They can take the disengage or hide action as a bonus action, and they can read and write and speak Common and Goblin. Which, honestly, disengage or hide as a bonus action, really nice.
Disengage is very
that is literally
nice.
just I have cutting action for like the two most common cutting actions baseline.
Thinking of like a fighter, if you were a fighter that could just take like a dex-based fighter, take disengage for free. Plus, you do get a dex bonus and a con. I find it interesting they get a con bonus because con bonuses are usually good.
I mean, goblins live in filth and war, so like it makes sense that you're just like a little like if you survive long enough to get a rank in any level.
I mean, they are what CR like 1/8.
Yeah,
the
like
fact that they're not even a level worth of.
You're a pretty strong.
Yeah, I will say Fury of the Small.
Very underwhelming.
I think is very underwhelming. The fact that it's once per short or long rest, and it's just damage equal to your level, which at level 1, great. I just did one additional damage at for once per rest.
Sure, the Asamir got it, but the Asamir got it starting 3rd level. For the entire minute once per turn.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they scaled it where it was like, oh, this is based on your dex modifier or your proficiency bonus. You can use this many times.
I think if they just made it a die instead of a level.
Feature, sort of like the Asamir feature where it's like, hey, you can go into a weird goblin frenzy and you could do it return for a minute.
Yeah. It's very, very underwhelming. I do like your small. There's sometimes in adventures that you play where it's like a small creature can do this, and like no one in the party's ever small. So like, there's like an entire, it'll be like an entire page of content in an adventure book, and you're just like, well, I'll just rip that and throw that in the garbage because my party's all medium-sized creatures.
Well, that's usually how it goes. No one ever wants to take in large reduce.
The other huge problems that goblins have, which there might only be, Brendan, you might be the only one who gets this reference, is you have to deal with Goblin Slayer, who will seek out to murder you as fast as possible.
Goblin Slayer.
All right, so Nerdy gets it, so it's all good then.
Yeah.
It's an anime.
Yeah, it's an anime.
Darian, and the guy. It's pretty funny because it's like it's very much based in like D&D lore, but it's uber edgelordy. So just watch the first episode and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Done deal.
Don't watch the first. Don't watch any of
watch the first episode. You'll just be like, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
Don't watch any of that horrid thing.
I will say, and people can cancel me. I mean, the first episode's the first episode, but I actually kind of enjoy it.
I've heard it's all right.
Honestly, once you move past the first episode, it gets a little more tolerable. But
I don't even know. Goblin, though. Honestly,
I think it's a friggin' C, to be honest.
Like low
Goblin's
C.
nothing special. I feel like Goblin's like you're a goblin if you're memeing it up. You're like, I'm a goblin.
Goblin is we're playing a low-level one-shot race, and you just want to have something funny.
How is that not D? What makes it honestly, a bugbear?
It's a good point. What doesn't make it D? I do agree with you, actually.
Because in fairness, at least you can use Fury of the Small every combat, or at least every short rest. You can't always. Also, really you do get cunning action as.
If I was a bugbear fighter, I could put a whip in my hand, and I have a 20-foot reach.
Isn't a whip only a D4 of damage though? So it's really low.
But still,
like the 2d6 though from bugbear, like that never comes up. At least you get your Fury of the Small. Like that's just pretty much guaranteed.
But Fury of the Small does suck ass.
It's terrible damage. I'm not saying it's good, but at least you get the damage on like bugbear.
1 damage. I did it.
But 20. The max damage you can do is 20, and no one ever plays till 20. Like
definitely. But
if you've been in a campaign where you've been a goblin to level 20, please send Brendan an email and let us know, because you are a special.
I don't know how you could do that, but I do think Nimble Escape
D tier.
No, I think
send him down.
I think Nimble Escape single-handedly saves Goblin in C tier, bottom of C tier, literally the worst C tier there is. But I don't think it's quite D tier.
Darian, what do you say?
I'm gonna be a sheep and say D tier.
All right,
D tier.
I'm putting it above the Bugbear.
That's fine.
I definitely think it's better than Bugbear. All
He's the last D.
All right, Hobgoblins. So Hobgoblins, they get a big +2 to con. That's nice.
And a +1 to intelligence.
Yeah, +1 to intelligence. They are considered a medium creature. 30-foot walk speed, 60-foot dark vision. They are proficient with 2 martial weapons of your choice and light armor, which is really interesting to get as a race. Hobgoblins have saving face, so they are careful not to show weakness in front of allies for fear of losing status. If you miss with an attack roll or fail an ability check or a saving throw, you can gain a bonus to the roll equal to the number of allies you can see within 30 feet, up to a +5 bonus. Once you use this trait, you can't do it again until you finish a short or long rest, and they get common and goblin for languages.
I love a Hobgoblin.
Honestly, that up to +5 is pretty neat.
Yeah, the saving face is good. I will say this though, just looking at this,
everything else,
the +2 to con and the +1 to intelligence is interesting because again,
it feels like it's the wrong
fantastic.
Abilities.
But the +1 to intelligence, I feel like because if I'm gonna do that, then
I mean, I guess
like
like
a wizard, Knight? Or you could be an artificer. Eldritch Knight would be another one. I guess.
Kind of like it.
But your proficiency with 2 martial weapons and light armor, like if I just looked at this and I was like, cool, intelligence, I'll be a wizard. I probably don't need the martial weapon proficiency, and light armor might be actually pretty nice.
That's dope.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
No, you can be a wizard with martial weapon. Like that's cool. You can be a wizard with a sword.
Artificer would be pretty cool.
Yeah, because Artificer doesn't get martial
with
weapons
a Hobgoblin,
baseline.
because the 2 proficiencies in the martial weapons would be very beneficial to an Artificer.
I think Battle Master gets you. martial weapons
Yeah.
in that. But otherwise, yeah, Artificer doesn't have.
But cannon, black cannon, you get a +1 to intelligence, and if you're gonna like start shooting people with a cannon, you still can get a sword. And like I think hobgoblins, they have a special place in my heart. I say A.
A for hobgoblin. I really do like saving face. I think
That's
that.
pretty cool.
Shoot, I missed, and I needed this hit. I needed this hit.
Off
So
by
I'm
like
gonna use
2
my saving
points.
face. Yeah, I'm gonna use
face.
saving face. And in general, if your party is of a 4-person party, that's a +3 immediately. That's huge. That's massive.
And that's not if you don't have any NPC allies around you either that are
that's just a party.
True. I will say, I don't know if I can go A, but I would definitely be willing to go B with Hobgoblin.
That's how I felt. I felt B sounded pretty
And the only reason I say that is I do feel like you have an Aracakra situation. I think it goes higher than Aracakra personally. Where there's some really awesome builds you can make with this race, but it's a little limited in some of the stuff that you can do.
I feel like a +1 to intelligence is enough. Because you start off with 8. If you're doing point buy, you start off with 8. You spend 1 point to give yourself just a base 0 on your intelligence, and then rolling at negative, and then you're just throwing it in all the other stuff that you were gonna do before. You know what I mean? Like like probably B. That's fine. It could be the gatekeeper to A. Like it's the thing that you have to beat to get into the A tier. But like honestly, Hobgoblin's really great. And it's one of the only races that the culture of the race is like a part of what makes. You know what I mean? Which is
that's definitely one of the people that has that.
I like saving face. That's such a good ability. I know you can only use it. I know you can only use it once for short or long rest, which technically you should take. What is it, like 2 or 3 short rests per adventure?
2 short rests, 1 long rest per day.
Yeah, and so you could technically use it 3 times in a day if you are 100% doing that. It's a pretty good ability. I'm game with high B. I like it being the gatekeeper to A. Though I don't know if I can rank it A, but I think it is a good, very high B.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah, it's not broken, not bad. It's all just good things. I mean, I feel like the intelligence is slightly misplaced. I feel like it should probably be like strength or dex, because it feels very much like it's trying to be a martial class, like a martial race, and then it just gets the intelligence instead, which is a little.
I think it's saying that
messy, but
martial race as like culturally.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go somewhere else with it, you really could. But ultimately, now if you add the Tasha's variant rule, Hobgoblin is crazy good.
Oh yeah,
but
customization on your stats,
that's great. Makes that amazing just on its own. Yeah, I'm good with high B though. Let's go on to Dragonborn.
So, oh boy, so Dragonborn's
gonna take a second, everyone.
There's a lot, especially with the new Tasha stuff with Dragonborn, or not Tasha, Fizzband stuff with Dragonborn. Okay, so Dragonborns. They get a +2 strength, +1 charisma baseline.
It depends on your source book though, because in the Explorer's Guide to Wildermount Dragonblood, they get a 2 to intelligence, 1 to charisma. Ravenlight from Explorer's Guide to Wildermount gets a 2 to strength, 2 to comm like standard. Or no, that's different because it's charisma and standard. And Chromatic from Fizzbands gains an ability score to 2 and 1, and it's just whatever you want it to be, it looks like. Or increase 3 different scores by 1.
All of the Fizzband ones are the +2 +1 or 3 +1s to anything, which there are 3 separate subraces for Fizzbands.
Yeah, there's there's chromatic,
chromatic, gem, and metallic. You can be any type of dragon you want.
Wow.
So this
is like the ultimate choice race because you get to choose like your color and stuff too for your
always medium. Always, I think it's always 30-foot movement. For Player's Handbook, you pick a color and you gain a breath weapon of the associated damage type, and the breath weapon is specified by your color you choose. So there's a bunch. I'm not going to list all of them.
No, and it scales. It does scale as you level up too.
Slightly. The saving throw scales. The damage does as well, but
the damage. Yeah, I mean,
well, in fairness, though, it is your action. I'm pretty sure on your turn to use the breath weapon.
Correct.
Yeah, you can only do it once per short or long rest.
But 11th level, you get 46 of whatever elemental damage like you are. That's we'll get into that in a second.
For 11th level though, you can definitely do more damage with other things. But anyway, you can also get resistance to whatever your ancestry is. and you learn Common and Draconic. Then there's, oh boy, all the Fizzbands. So Chromatic gets a +2, as I said, +2, +1 in anything, or +1 or in 3 stats. It's up to you. They can get Common in any other language, though why you wouldn't take Draconic, I don't know. They are considered... Are they considered a different rate? No, they're considered humanoid. Although
it says humanoid. Yeah, it says
though
humanoid.
It does say every creature in D&D, including each player character, has a tag. Most player characters are humanoid. A race option presented here. It tells you what your character creature type is. Okay, it's weird. It's giving me the explanation of stuff. So it is humanoid, medium, 30-foot walking speed, and then you can pick between 5 colors for chromatic and get 5 different damage types, which you get the breath weapon. So when you take the attack action with this one, the old one, the player's handbook one, is an action to do. This one with Fizzbands for all of them is when you take the attack action, you can instead replace one of your attacks with an exhalation of magical energy in a 30-foot line, 5-foot wide direction. Each creature must make a dex save, which scales on the saving throw for your con plus proficiency +8. On a fail save, they take 1d10 of the damage type associated with your ancestry. On a successful save, they take half as much, and it increases up to 4d10 at 17th level. And you can use this equal to your proficiency bonus and gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You get resistance to whatever your damage type is, and chromatic warding is at 5th level as an action. You can channel stuff to protect yourself. For 1 minute, you become immune to damage associated with your chromatic ancestry. Once you use this, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Gem gets pretty much all of the same stuff.
It sounds like it's all pretty similar.
It's all the same, except they get slightly different extra abilities outside of the breath weapon and resistance. So
yeah, I don't think you have to list them all. There's so much here. I think it'll just be a mash.
The most important thing I think to mention is Gem Flight for the, I believe, Gem Dragons. Yeah. So they can sprout wings for a minute, and for the duration, they get a flying speed equal to their walking speed and can hover, which is an important thing to note. And once you do it, you can't do so again for a long rest. And then the metallic dragons get some extra bonuses to their breath weapon. So they can... each creature in the cone must succeed on a con save or become incapacitated using their breath weapon, which you can add when you use it, or you can knock creatures 20 feet away or knock them prone.
Oh,
I'm sorry, and be knocked prone. You add an additional saving throw on top, and you can do something with it as well.
And you can't do that again until you finish a long rest.
Yes, once you use your metallic breath weapon, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest, and that's what you get at 5th level. Is you get an additional cone that you can use as one of your attacks instead, on top of your normal breath weapon that you can do in place of an attack. Up to your proficiency bonus.
So Dragonborn, I love, especially with Fizzband's introduction.
Oh, Fizzbands are so good.
The sheer amount of customization that you have with this race, because like, oh, I'm a green, I'm a green Dragonborn. Cool, I'm doing poison damage with my breath weapon now. Suck it,
And resistance.
And your resistance to it, or even being like a red or gold dragon, being resistant to fire damage is really damn good too.
And especially if you take chromatic and you're just like, I'm immune to fire damage.
Oh yeah, or you're immune with chromatic.
Deal with it.
There's just so much here. I feel like if I was gonna play a Dragonborn, which I almost did for one of the campaigns I'm in, there's so much like stuff that you can play with and like change around to like tailor make yourself for whatever campaign you're entering. It's like, oh, I'm in an Icewind Dale campaign, boom, immune to cold damage. I'm in a seafaring campaign, boom, immune to lightning damage or resistance to lightning damage. I like them. I like them a lot. The question is, do we S tier like them?
I definitely think the Fizzbands are S tier because you can replace an attack with the breath weapon and it doesn't eat your whole action.
Yes,
and you get a lot of damage with those things. You can get 40-10 plus your normal weapon attack, all in one turn. Plus resistance to whatever your damage type is, which can be very common or uncommon, however you decide to do it. Plus other things. Which some dragons also do have another thing, but it's not super important. It's just, they basically can just send message to somebody, and that's it.
I will say, looking at like the Raven Knight and Dragonblood ones from Explorers, I don't know if they get the breath weapon as well. I think they do.
I'm unsure.
Yeah, their abilities don't seem as interesting. Like the Raven Knight one, Vengeful Attack, you can take a reaction to make an attack against a creature if you took damage from a creature and they're in range, but you can only do it once per short or long rest, which is cool, but I can only do it once per like my resting period, which is eh.
Yeah. Eh.
I
It's eh.
also, on top of Fizzbands just being better all around, with the breath weapon being a attack replacement, you also get more because
Yes.
Player's Handbook is you get 1 per short rest or long rest. Fizzbands is you get your proficiency bonus number per long rest. So you can get like 6 of those things.
Yeah, it really is one. If you buy Fizzbands or you're using the races from Fizzbands, I think it is a very clear S tier. I think the standard and maybe I don't know about these other ones.
I think the standard is like a B, maybe an A. Breath weapon's cool.
I think it's a very low A.
Thing.
Okay, maybe I'll make some people angry here, but I think it's better than Hobgoblin, which is why I think it goes into A.
I do think it should go into A tier.
I think it should go into A. I agree. I don't think it's S tier because I don't think the standard Dragonborn is amazing. Like the Fizzband ones.
I think if we were only talking about Fizzbands, which honestly at this point, why are you not playing any of the Fizzbands versions? They're just significantly better in every way. S tier easy for Fizzbands only. But otherwise, I do think Dragonborn is A.
What's B again?
What?
What is the gatekeeper of B into A?
Okay, so yeah, Hobgoblins are high B. We said that if it's better than
saying that the Player's Handbook Dragonborn is better than Hobgoblin.
I think it is.
I do too. I think the breath weapon.
I think it is.
Gives it a little too much.
Mm.
Plus, you get a resistance. Like
okay, I will say this. You know what?
I forgot about
that.
You also get a resistance.
You get a resistance. I will take that back. I do think the Hobgoblin's ability to add an additional thing, like a bonus modifier, is very, very good. And it might make it better. It might make it a little better than base Dragonborn. But Fizzbands are good.
Fizzbands are broken.
I think it propels it into A easily.
Yeah. All right, that's fair.
Darian, your thoughts?
I'm happy where we landed on that one.
A tier? Alright. I'm gonna put it above Genasi for right now. Because honestly, I think if it wasn't for Player's Handbook, I think it would be S tier, no problem. Honestly, Player's Handbook Dragonborn holds it back a lot.
You can tell that there was probably a complaint, like, I can only use my breath weapon once per day, basically. Why the heck, like that? They're like, fine, you can use it all the time.
You can use it like 6 times a day. Have fun. I'm like, yeah. All right. Anyways, Cankus. These I think are technically banned in Adventure League.
I could see that because of their speaking ability, but
yep. So they get a +2 Dex, +1 Wisdom. They are considered medium, 30-foot movement. You can duplicate other creatures' handwriting and craftwork. You have advantage on all checks made to produce forgeries or duplicates of existing objects. They get 2 proficiencies, which are acrobatics, deception, stealth, and sleight of hand. 2 of any of those. And then they have mimicry. So you can mimic sounds you have heard, including voices. A creature that hears the sound you make can tell they are imitations with a successful insight check, as opposed to your deception check. And then you can read and write Common and Auran, but can only speak using mimicry.
No. Kenku, if played as written, can be an annoying pile of crap because
you may not be able to.
Yes, you may not be able to communicate in the way that you want to. I think a lot of DMs either say you've learned enough of the language to communicate in different voices. Yeah. Honestly, the best person I've seen play Kenku for me is Arthur because he actually played it. We did Tomb of Horror as a quick one shot. He actually played it as you just lost Dirty. He's having some technical difficulties.
He's having some problems.
But he actually played the character only having a limited vocab. And when people were saying new words, he was writing them down and adding them to his vocabulary to increase his sentence output, which I thought was incredibly humorous. If you are dedicated enough to that to role play it, you get a very big check mark in my book. But the rest of their abilities, they're really good at stealth, deception related role playing, but that's my opinion.
What they are. If you want to play a rogue, this race is very good at being a rogue. You can forge documents. You can pretend to be other people and mimic them.
If you want to play a thief, like high deception-based rogue, not like a swashbuckler.
Yeah, if you want to play intrigue espionage.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I still personally think one of the best things I've ever heard is play a Kenku as a bard. And because you can't technically communicate, you instead use interpretive dance for all of your spellcasting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that is a really fun idea.
I'll be fast on this one. It's a C for me.
That's how I feel. It's a C.
I can agree with that.
Unfortunately, Nerdy is not here to impart his wisdoms with Kenku, so he'll just have to accept our ranking on this one. Oh boy, we're coming up to one of my favorites.
Cobalt is really
one of my favorites.
This thing is kind of stupid. All right, so they get a +2 dex.
Real quick though, they used to get a -2 to strength that has since been removed from 5e. So just if anyone thinks they get a -2 to strength.
No, that is no longer the case. Now they only get the +2 to dex. They are considered a small creature. 30-foot walking speed, 60-foot dark vision. As an action on your turn, they have grovel, cower, and beg. So as an action, you can cower pathetically to distract nearby foes. Till the end of your next turn, your allies gain advantage on attack rolls against enemies within 10 feet of you that can see you. You get this once per short or long rest. You can just give your party advantage on anything within 10 feet of you for free once per short rest, which is really fun. They have pack tactics, so they have advantage if they have an ally within 5 feet, which if you're using rules as written, variant rules, and have flanking, everyone has pack tactics, so it doesn't matter. But they technically have it baseline as a thing if you're not using flanking as written.
A lot of people don't, I don't think.
And they technically still have sunlight sensitivity, but honestly, don't do that. Just don't. Just don't do it. It's not fun.
I get having it because...
I understand why it's a thing, but don't use it.
Because pack tactics is really powerful, because 9 times out of 10, there's going to be like an ally within 5 feet of them. Having advantage on like... Okay, so for this birthday stream, when it was my birthday, I played that Cobalt Drunken Master Monk. I was so OP with some of my abilities, because I'm just like, I have advantage on literally every roll, because we were in an underground dungeon, so I didn't have to worry about sunlight.
Yeah.
But sunlight sensitivity sucks if you can't use your pack tactics and you're outside. Which I think
a lot of people with sunlight sensitivity
hand wave it.
They just kind of hand wave it as you're probably wearing like some kind of hood or cloak or hat or something to keep you out of the sunlight. I know that's how I feel.
I'm just going by as written here.
But if you do include sunlight sensitivity, it does kind of suck. But in dungeons,
depending on the campaign that you're in, like if you're in Curse of Strahd where there's literally no sunlight, everything's in like dim, like fog and darkness, your Cobalt is like the king of Barovia, just walking around getting advantage. And like you could be literally a rogue Cobalt in Curse of Strahd and have advantage on every single attack roll, which is sneak attack on every single attack roll.
Once per turn, but yeah.
Once per turn.
Sneak attack is not every turn.
I'm going through, I think, Icewind Dale, technically, because there's no sunlight. It only ends up in twilight, which is still technically night. So you would be in darkness there. Depending on your if you ran Tales of the Yawning Portal, if you just ran the dungeons in those, you would be underground for almost all of those and wouldn't have to worry about it. So there's a lot of just written adventures where sunlight sensitivity you wouldn't worry about. It would just be an overland combat. I love grovel, cower, and beg
it's
too.
So stupid.
And cry in front of your enemies and beg them not to kill you.
And everyone gets advantage on attacks again. It's so weird, but I love it.
It's so funny. The Cobalts of any of the monster races, it's the biggest meme race for me, because you are like, if you don't have sunlight sensitivity hurting you, you have advantage on everything, and you can grovel and piss yourself in front of your enemies to give your allies advantage. Okay. For the meme S tier. Meme S tier for Cobalt.
I mean, genuinely?
Meme S tier.
Even with sunlight sensitivity, I think they're still at worst an A tier. They're just like pack tactics just carries them.
I was gonna say at
So
worst
hard.
a B tier, but for me it's totally an S tier just because I love them so much.
Like I definitely think A
My
or S is fair to them.
my Cobalt Scraggles was so ridiculous, and I
so
loved
dumb.
him for it. He would be terrible. He'd be terrible like in a level 10 campaign. He would just get decimated.
Oh,
But
yeah.
at level like 3, Scraggles is 2 thumbs up.
Darian, your thoughts?
I don't think I can justify putting them in S, but I would agree
I mean,
for
Pet
A.
Tactics is really, really good.
I'll put him in A. If we really want to piss some people off, I'll put him in A.
That's okay. All right, Lizard Folk. I played one of these, and he was really
You
fun.
did play one of these.
I love Lizard Folk. It's such a hilarious race to play. So they get a +2 con, +1 wisdom. They are a medium creature, 30-foot walking speed and a 30-foot swimming speed baseline, which is nice. They get a bite attack.
Bite
so
is sweet.
when you hit with it, you can deal piercing damage to 1d6 plus strength mod instead of bludgeoning when you use a normal unarmed attack. They have cunning artisan. So during short rest, you can use bones and hides and stuff from slain beast, constructs, dragon, monstrosity, or plant specifically of a creature of size small or larger to create a shield, a club, a javelin, or a D4 darts for blowguns or darts or blowgun needles. And you need to have at least some kind of blade and some appropriate tools to do this. They can hold their breath for up to 15 minutes at a time. They gain proficiency in animal handling, nature, perception, stealth, or survival. They can pick 2 of those. Natural armor, so they get AC equal to 13 plus dex, as long as they're not wearing any armor, and they can still use shields. And then Hungry Jaws, which is a really fun ability. As a bonus action, you can use your bite attack, and if it hits, you gain 10 hit points equal to your con mod, minimum of 1, and you can do so again on a short or long rest, and then they get common and draconic.
Dex-based fighter, barbarian, any dex-based class. This is really good.
Yeah, I played a Eldritch Knight, and it was really fun.
The wisdom mod's a little weird, in my opinion. But
I changed it with Tasha's, but yeah.
You could be a ranger and make a dex-based
Which I think is kind of what they're meant to be, is like a dex ranger.
Yeah.
Or even, because that's kind of what they are. They're people of the... Like,
I mean, the big standouts, bite, a 1d6 plus your strength modifier. Like if you were captured, like I'm thinking about Out of the Abyss, like the opening to Out of the Abyss, where like you're imprisoned, you don't have any of like your items or your weapons anymore.
Having a D6
like,
attack is nuts.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You literally have a short sword on you.
Yeah, just your cunning artisan. Oh, just a sec, guys. There's all these bones. Let me just craft myself a longsword real quick. Or well, it's not a long.
Unfortunately, I do think, as someone who has played it, even because I played it in Lost Mines, which there's a decent amount of creatures in there, but even it didn't come up very much that I could use it. Looking very restricted in how much you can use.
Yeah, looking at it, like you get a dagger or a club, which is a D4. Your bite weapon's better than all those. It'd be better to make a shield. You get your plus.
You make a shield. You can get the D4 darts if you need a ranged attack of some kind.
Yeah.
You can also make stuff for other people.
The hold breath is really cool if you were like in a water-based campaign where you needed to hide.
Good old watch Magic Pixel. Magic Pixel has a lizard folk named Atak who utilize that very well because they have the 30-foot swim speed. He casts, I think he had some kind of spell on him to make him move incredibly quickly, and he literally swam across like half of an ocean in like a couple of minutes, and it doesn't matter because he can just come up every 15 minutes, get his breath back, and go back down. It was great.
Also, natural armor 13 plus your dex. I have a +5 dex, so I have plate armor as a
baseline, just for free.
Yeah, baseline. So I could be a dex-based, fighter and not have to worry about the strength mod not being able to equip plate armor, and I just free plate armor.
That's a good point.
I mean, yeah, you have to get up to that, but your dex, if you're building a dex fighter, your dex is going to be your highest stat. You already have Constitution +2. Scaling the next highest ability that you want. This is a solid A tier.
Oh yeah, I think they're
solid A tier.
Hungry Jaws also, you get free temp
Hungry Jaws, yeah.
I mean, it's only up to 5 temp hit points, but that's still 5 temp hit points, and it's a free bonus action.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it out here. If you are, maybe it's still an A because you couldn't.
No, I definitely don't think these are S tier.
You don't think it's S?
It's good. I mean, 2 proficiencies is nice, but it's animal handling, nature, perception, stealth, and survival. Only like 2 of those are really like incredibly good.
Survival, depending on your campaign.
Survival, depending on your campaign. Stealth is always great. Perception is literally always a good thing to have because you can detect traps and find things and whatnot. But even then, I don't know. They're
good with
great.
A.
Cunning Artisan does not come up as much as you think.
Like I said, I could see me building a shield if I needed a shield real quick which would then give you a 19 AC if you had a +5 to your deck. So
20 AC because shield's +2.
Oh yeah, plus thank you. Yeah, so you just be real.
Yep. You literally have 20 AC without needing any armor. Don't spend any money on it.
All right.
Orc.
So again, Orc's got Volos. There's an Eberron. There's a Wild Mount.
Technically, this one does have Orc of Exandria, and I think the other Orc is in this list as a separate. Yeah, Orc of Eberron is a separate one on here.
Yeah,
because those are technically separate Orcs, but I'm okay just doing normal Orcs.
Do Volos. I think it's the most common Orc.
The other two are kind of specific for what
I will say, I feel like Volo's Orc is very like underutilized. Like it doesn't get a lot of great stuff. I think they tried to fix it with Eberron, and I don't know too much about the Wild Mount one because I haven't read that book too much.
No, I don't know much
but
about either.
Yeah, let's just do Volos as base. I'll just say this before you even go. If you're going to be an Orc, just be a half Orc. But continue.
Yeah, probably. +2 strength, +1 con. Medium size, 30-foot walking speed, dark vision. They have aggressive, so as a bonus action, you can move up to your speed towards an enemy of your choice. You must end this move closer to the enemy than you started, so you can't use this to run away. You do have to walk towards something. So technically, you can go 25 feet to the left and then 5 feet forward in some instances because you'll be closer to an enemy. And then they get 2 proficiencies of animal handling, insight, intimidation, medicine, nature, perception, and survival, or their options. Powerful build, and then common and orc. Which, honestly, the only thing here that really matters is aggressive.
Aggressive's not even that great either.
I mean, it's a free bonus action, 30 feet.
It's a free dash action, basically, if you're running into combat. But
great if you're a barbarian.
Well, I think about a lot of the instances too, like in our previous campaign, especially for Thok.
Yeah, how many times
he entirely melee dependent, and he spent like 3 or 4 turns just running to where we were.
That's very true.
It is. It's nice to have.
That was actually more Bernard than
True.
Thok.
But that's also because Bernard has 25 feet of movement.
Yeah,
30. That's the struggle. 25-foot class.
It looks like too the Exandria Orc. It doesn't really get. I don't see anything too different in there.
I can look. I haven't really looked too much at it.
I'm
assuming it's about the same.
Yeah, it's almost identical. It looks like.
I might have like an extra ability or something.
No, it has aggressive, powerful build, and primal institution.
Is it different ability?
Might be different skills.
No. 30-foot movement. +2 strength, +1 con. Honestly, it might just be.
Their size, I think, is different.
They're still medium, but it might just be like.
I mean, excuse me, like their weight and stuff.
Oh yeah,
normal Orc is 230 to 280. The Exandria one is 280. Oh wait, up to 280. So no, you could still be 230. So
it might also be alignment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it says they are generally chaotic for that one.
Any alignment.
And then the Orc here,
I think, are usually evil.
They're usually chaotic evil, yeah. So it's just alignment is the difference between those two.
Okay. So if anyone's going to be an Orc, I'm gonna throw this right out there. Be a half Orc because they have an ability that literally when you drop, you just come up with 1 HP. There's no reason to be a regular Orc. Fat D.
I don't think D.
I think Orc fat.
I think aggressive is nice.
Aggressive is okay.
Bonus action dash. It's always good to have movement. Movement's always great.
Fat out D.
Darian?
I'll let him go and I'll say why I think it's D.
See, I'm comparing it to like Goblin and Bugbear, and it just
it feels like it's not worse to me than those two.
No, I
feel like Bugbear is better than Orc. Its long arm thing is better than aggressive.
I mean,
I like aggressive.
In fairness, a 5-foot reach compared to 30 feet of movement is a very big difference in range accomplishment. If I'm playing a melee character, I can have 5 feet of extra range, or I can just walk 30 more feet.
If you are playing a melee character, you should still have a javelin or a hand axe you can throw as well if you need to get a ranged based attack
we don't need
at one point.
We don't need that.
I mean, it is nice.
So in fairness, you don't get the 5 feet on those. because it's only for melee weapons for Bugbear. Like they have to have a melee weapon in
Yeah.
hand. They can't throw the javelin 5 extra feet.
Well, no, I'm saying for orc in general.
Yeah.
Like if you are playing an orc and you are a melee build, you should have javelins or hand axes for those moments where you need a range weapon of some.
In fairness, though, great axes do a D12.
They do. I was gonna say it does let you run up easily.
You can
and
easily
whack.
get up and start whacking with your big damage because javelins are kind of weak.
I think
Like I think aggressive honestly is just good. Only beneficial.
I could do D tier, but it's gotta be above Goblin and Bugbear.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. I'll put it above those. But I guess if someone said I want to be an orc, I would say cool. Here's half orc because I much think the ability to get knocked down and immediately come up with 1 HP, especially if you're a barbarian and get to the high levels where you can do that normally. Just remember Thok. I couldn't put him down. It was impossible. He just keep coming up with HP.
We did have like
granted,
3 different abilities for that.
Crazy high level play. I think we were level 20 when that was happening. But
still.
Yeah. So are we saying high D for orc then?
Yeah, that's what I put on.
Yeah, we'll do high D.
I was only gonna say put him in C personally, like bottom of C, because it's definitely not like better than Goliath, but.
All right, everyone's favorite furry creature.
All right, Tabaxis. These things are really fast.
Yep.
So Dex +2, Charisma +1. Medium size, 30-foot movement, dark vision. They have feline agility, so when you move on your turn in combat, you can double your speed until the end of your turn. Once you do this, you can't use it again until you move 0 feet on one of your turns, which in a lot of instances will probably happen if you're fighting things that don't have low health. They also get cat claws, so because of your claws, you have a climbing speed of 20 feet. In addition, you have a D4 slashing weapon plus strength mod for your unarmed strikes. They get perception and stealth, and then they know common and a language of your choice.
So feline agility is good aggressive.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That is fair. Yeah.
It's like literally
aggressive has 0 stipulations on it, so if I killed something, I could do it again. But like you said, Brendan, unless you're fighting something with garbage HP, you're gonna stand next to him probably for a turn.
Yeah, for next turn, and then you can go on turn 3 and book it on 60 feet. Tabaxi Monks.
I was about to say.
Tabaxi Monk. You have like literally 80 feet of movement, and you haven't even used like feline agility yet.
Yep. It's like 160 feet of movement. Excuse me.
Ridiculous.
It's like bitch slap everything into oblivion or just leave.
I think I'm slightly over.
Yeah.
I think it's 60
well, I
feet
think the most overpowered thing about that much of mobility is you can literally run circles around people. But I think of like setting up. You get into a room that has 2 exits or whatever. Your party goes through one. The bad guy comes through the other. You can be a Tabaxi Monk, just zoom over there, booby trap their exit or something, and then zing on back before they even know you're there.
Yeah.
Or in situations where the villain might have a hostage or something, boom, your Tabaxi Monk's there and releases all the hostages. Foiled your plan, villain.
They're so
before they can even react. So yeah, it's like aggressive, but way better.
Plus, you get stealth and perception, huge skills
baseline
in the game, and Cat's Claws is a free D4 plus your strength mod, which is better. I always appreciate those over a standard unarmed strike.
Better unarmed strike weapons are always nice. I mean, there's a fighting style now, but who's ever going to actually take that? That's literally what Tavern Brawler's for.
I think Tabaxi are a...
They're like a B or an A. They're not.
I was gonna say
not incredibly broken, but they're solid.
I think they are a B. I think they are a B, and I think they are better than Hobgoblin.
I mean, I won't disagree with you there.
Yeah,
I love the Hobgoblin.
I'm sure Nerd D would disagree, but I don't disagree.
He's gonna disagree.
I think that's fair.
If he's watching right now, he's probably cursing us right now. But I mean,
level 1, 60 feet of movement is kind of nutty. Tritons. These guys are really interesting. They're one of the only races, I think, that have a baseline +3. So they get a +1 to strength, con, and charisma, which is really interesting. Not many races get that. Medium size, 30-foot walking speed, and a 30-foot swim speed, which is always great to have if you're in water. They can breathe in air and water. They can cast Fog Cloud, and at 3rd level, they can cast Gust of Wind. And at 5th level, they can also cast Wall of Water. Once you cast a spell with this trait, you can't cast that spell with it again until you finish a long rest, and Charisma is their modifier for it.
Technically, you could cast all 3.
You get all 3 spells once per long rest. They have 60-foot dark vision, because of course. They can communicate with people pretty much underwater, is what Emissary of the Sea is. You can speak to people underwater, which is nice. And then Guardian of the Depths, adapted to they have resistance to cold damage, and they can know common and primordial. All around,
pretty
Three
solid.
free
They're very
spells is
solid.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 free spells are really cool. I feel
Not
like these
super
guys
great
would,
spells, but
No.
3 free spells.
I
are
feel like
nice.
these guys would kick ass in a water-based
Oh,
campaign,
definitely.
but they'd kind of suck. Maybe not suck, but they would struggle in a campaign that's not like if you're doing Ghost of Saltmarsh, put a Triton on my boat.
Oh, definitely. But I mean, even if you're just like fully on land, you still have Fog Cloud, Gust of Wind, all the like you can still use those.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You won't be able to really speak underwater very much, and you don't get your swim speed to pop up very often. But you still get 2 or 3 free spells. I don't know if Wall of Water requires you to have water. Now you create a wall. You don't even need the water there. You just build a giant wall of water.
And you can breathe air and water, which there's one enemy I'm thinking from Princes of the Apocalypse that actually has the ability to make it so your character can't breathe. So that just negates that ultra powerful ability, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's uber situational in that moment, but
I mean, technically, if you get consumed by a water elemental, you can still breathe.
You can still breathe in them, yeah.
You don't have to worry about suffocating in them, which is always nice.
It just seems good.
It just feels
okay. It just seems okay.
It feels like a B to me, because like in the right situations, man, it is being a Triton great. In other situations, I got free spells.
It's very situational.
I think all of our Bs we've set Tabaxi, Hobgoblin, Aracakra, definitely B.
Yeah. I'll put it.
I'd probably put him at the bottom though. I don't think he's as good as Aracakra.
Yeah, 50-foot fly speed is just way too nice to have over that. All right, Yantee Purebloods. I have a lot of opinions. This is the most stupid broken class in the race in the game.
Oh boy.
They also have magic resistance, but go on, do your thing.
So they get a +2 to charisma, +1 to intelligence, which is cool, I guess. Medium size, 30 feet movement, dark vision, because of course. They know poison spray, and they can cast animal friendship an unlimited number of times with their trait, but can only target snakes. Starting at 3rd level, you can also cast suggestion. Once you cast it, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Charisma is the ability for it. They have magical resistance. They are completely immune to poison and the poisoned condition. And they know common, abyssal, and draconic.
A whole condition
They are completely immune to poison.
Wow.
They cannot be poisoned. They can't take poison damage. They have magic resistance.
Also, too, I know poison spray isn't like the best of the attack cantrips, but the fact you just get a free friggin' cantrip,
you get a free D12 poison damage.
Yeah, and
it is a con save,
doesn't it?
It does, yeah, because it's a cantrip. Yeah. So. Or it's a damaging cantrip. So
and free animal friendship to snakes. So if you just carry a bunch of snakes around with you, you can just release them all and tell them to do things.
Technically, I don't know. It says you can cast Animal Friendship an unlimited number of times with the trait, but can only target snakes with it. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say you might technically, but no, you can only target snakes. You have to. You can only use it on snakes. Still, though.
I mean that's uber situational, but I mean if you could get some snakes around you, it's pretty fun.
You also get suggestion at 3rd level, which is a great
spell.
It's a great spell.
And I mean magic resistance, because magic resistance is amazing.
So I have so many. There is no reason why you should, as a player, pick a race and be immune to a damage type and a condition at level 1. There is no reason for that. That is so unbelievably broken.
Can't be poisoned.
You just can't. You literally cannot be poisoned.
Well, you can't just be poisoned. You have advantage on magic effects.
Not only can you not be poisoned, you're also like it's so dumb.
It's a no question S tier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The question is it better than our satyr friend? Which
genuinely, I think yes.
Yeah,
because
I think it is too.
I'd say so.
Satyr is not immune to anything.
I think what really set Satyr off was that magical resistance.
Yeah, magical resistance straight up makes Satyr really, really strong. I mean, Satyr also had another ability that was pretty good. What was it? It was like free spells, I think, that I got. But I don't remember. I just know that it's really strong. Feral Tiefling, specifically, which is the Sword Coast Adventures Guide Tiefling.
Yeah, that's in, it looks like, depending on what you're using, Brendan, it might be under regular Tiefling.
This is technically the Sword Coast Adventure Guide's version of Tiefling.
Yeah.
Which is a +1 to intelligence and Dex +2, which is ordered strangely, but okay. Medium size, 30 feet movement, dark vision. They're resistant to fire damage, and then they know Thaumaturgy. And at 3rd level, they get Rebuke, Hellish Rebuke, as a 2nd level spell specifically. So they get 3d10 instead of the normal 2d10. They get that once per long rest, and then at 5th level, they can cast Darkness once per long rest using Charisma as their spellcasting mod. They get Common and Infernal. And then there is a variant as well, which gets a +1 Intelligence, +2 Dex still. That might have been backwards, actually. No, that is the same. It says it replaces it, but that's literally the same. Okay. And then they get, instead, they'll get Vicious Mockery. At 3rd level, they get Charm Person as a 2nd level spell. And at 5th, they get Enthrall. All of this is once per long rest with Charisma. And then you can technically pick to have Burning Hands instead of Hellish Rebuke. And you can pick to have a Fly Speed when you're not wearing 30 feet, when you're not wearing heavy armor. But that replaces Legacy, which is one of their abilities. I don't know which one specifically, but it replaces one of their abilities.
Yeah.
The Infernal Legacy. Oh, so instead of getting your spellcasting, you can instead get a fly speed of 30 feet.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you wanted to be less of a magic, have no magic and just focus solely on damage, physical damage and be able to fly, that's pretty useful.
They do get some nice options for their
yeah, that and, well, this is regular tiefling. We'll get into that later, but there's a bunch of options for him. I always just lump, if we wanted to do tiefling and feral tiefling all as one, because I feel like they're just variants of each other at this point.
They kind of are.
Yeah, I like tiefling a lot. I think you can do a lot of really cool stuff. Arthur's a tiefling.
Yep.
Just with their standard abilities, like the ability to do Hellish Rebuke as a reaction, if for free, just for free, is really cool. Well, I mean, I think it's per long rest or whatever, but
it is still free.
Yeah, and then you've got all these subclass or subrace variants from Mordekainen's, these different bloodlines that give you different ability score modifiers, different cantrips and spells. You can do variant and take wings and do like Hellfire. They're like Dragonborn in my opinion.
Yeah.
I actually think they're a little better than Dragonborn. Maybe not the chromatic Fizzband ones.
No, definitely they're not better than the Fizzband dragons, but they're definitely better than a lot of
the base ones.
Yeah.
I just like Hellish Rebuke as a free reaction, base reactions. Good.
As far as, I'm just going to use the tiefling instead of the feral tiefling. I'm going to throw that in here.
That's fine. I think it's an A.
I do too. I think it's an A. I think it's probably right next to Dragonborn.
Yeah, I think tiefling's a solid A.
They're very cool. They're very fun.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle time.
The Turtles! I love Turtles.
Turtles.
They're so silly, but they're also not. So they get +2 strength, +1 wisdom. They're a medium creature, 30-foot walking speed. They have a claw attack, so 1d4 plus strength. Slashing, which is always nice. They can hold their breath for an hour at a time. Turtles aren't natural swimmers, but they can remain underwater for some time before needing to come up for air. So they do get an hour breath holding, which is nice. They have natural armor, which just gives them a flat 17 AC, and that's it. They cannot benefit from wearing armor, so you are just always at a 17. You can use shields. You do get shield bonuses as normal. They have shell defense, so you can withdraw into your shell as an action until you emerge. You gain a +4 bonus to AC and have advantage on strength and con saves. While you're in the shell, you're considered prone, and your speed is 0 and can't increase. You have disadvantage on dex saves. You can't take reactions, and the only action you can take is a bonus action to emerge from your shell. They get free proficiency in survival, and they know Aquin and Common.
Oh, a couple big ones. Natural armor with a 17 to add the +2 from shields to get a 19 at the start of the game as a fighter or any shield using class.
Yeah. Level 1, they have the highest AC.
Damn good. Up. But shell defense, I know some people might be like, well, all you can do is like turtle,
Yeah, I mean, you get a 21 AC.
Yeah, because it doesn't say anything about it doesn't say anything about shield.
I mean,
so
yeah,
I know technically you couldn't hold a shield because you've withdrawn into your shell, but it doesn't say you can't use a shield. So could you technically also get the +2 to get a 23 AC.
Technically, it doesn't say you have to drop your weapon. That's as written. No, because I think it says you withdraw into your shell. So that's interpretive, but as written, it does not say that you can't hold things.
Yeah.
You just aren't allowed to use your reactions, and you can't take an action at all on your turn. So you can only use
like that bonus action
to come out of your shell, but that's still a plus 40 or
so
AC.
Okay, so here's a question: if the only
rounds.
action I can take is the bonus action to emerge from my shell, if I still have an action and movement, though, would I still be able to do
your
those?
speed is 0. You literally can't move.
I'm saying after I've come out of my shell. Though.
Yeah, no, you're once you come
so
out, you're fine.
So you could literally turtle and shell up, let enemies attack you, and then on your turn emerge from it and just go ham on them, and essentially serve as like a tank at that point.
Yeah, like every other turn, you
every other
basically
turn you can go into your shell.
Yeah, you're like a mega tank.
In fairness, you can't take reactions, so there's nothing saying that they won't just be like,
oh, they won't leave you alone.
All right, I'm just gonna go after the other guy that's actually standing there fighting me.
That's true.
So they can just run away from you. But if they don't do that, if they try to break through your shell, it is nice. Like it's not particularly great, but it is nice. And they get a D4.
1d4 strength is good too for your claws. Although I just think natural armor is good.
Of all the races that they gave reduced walking speed to, this one would have been the most justified.
And they didn't do it.
It.
Yeah. Well, turtles are actually like deceptively fast. They're actually not that slow.
That is true. Yeah, if
you've ever seen a turtle run, those things book it.
Yeah, but they're like a turtle, which is also tortoise. And
they're a turtle man, is what they are.
I will say their +1 to wisdom feels a little odd. Again, you could do like a ranger or maybe cleric kind of build.
Kind of makes sense because they're they're these
they're wise like a turtle.
Turtles, even though their average life is only 50
like
years.
Master Shifu or whatever his name is from Kung Fu Panda.
That's the whole point.
Master Shifu.
One of my friends played a turtle rogue and it was hilarious. He had a really good time with it.
I like them a lot. Where would you guys stick them?
I think they're a solid B, maybe A tier. I mean, as tanks, they're incredible. 17 AC baseline is
I think
nice.
with the baseline we've made, they're a good B tier because I can't see someone being like
an
amazing turtle spellcaster.
I mean, even if you did play a turtle spellcaster, you're a turtle spellcaster with a 17 AC.
That's true.
Like if you played Blade Song Wizard turtle.
What if you put mage armor on top of that? How's that work?
It wouldn't.
Well,
take.
So you don't gain any benefit from wearing armor. But I think technically you could benefit from that because you're not wearing armor with mage armor. It just sets your AC.
Yeah.
And
but when
I think rules is written. It depends on your modifier.
Yeah.
Because if your modifier is higher and you can, well, no, because I think 17 is the highest with mage armor. Maybe 18.
I feel like it would be a waste. Honestly, I think it would be a waste of a spell slot for the +1 AC. I would, but the truth is. It uses a lot of spellcasters not cast when they have a shield in their hand?
Well, that's what Warcaster's for.
Oh, well, Warcaster.
You can cast if you have a sword or a shield in hand with Warcaster.
But I would say though that having a 17 AC for a spellcaster in general, just don't have to take mage armor because you have a 17 AC is really
you just
good.
have that. It's nice. It's really nice.
You know what? I'm good giving it an A because of that.
I mean, is that A worthy though? Is having a 17 AC better than Tabaxi's 60 feet movement?
I think it's
feel like they're about the
same. I'd say because of the shell, like being able to burrow into their shell and get that additional 4 AC, it would be a lot more beneficial.
What I will say with the Tabaxi's movement is, yes, it's great that you could move a ridiculous amount. And you could get to enemies that normally would be behind barriers and stuff like that. But it doesn't necessarily do anything for you not taking damage or being hit. It's just this fast movement where this is directly counteracting you taking damage.
Also, holding your breath for an hour is always
nice.
Is
good. I'm good putting it above Tabaxi.
Yeah, I'm okay putting it at the bottom of A tier.
Oh boy. We are coming up to one of my favorite races.
These are so neat.
Never played one, but I think they are awesome.
Vicious is playing a changeling in Magic Pixel, and he's a really fun changeling actually. I believe it's a changeling. Yeah, he's playing a changeling. They're really cool. Anyways, +2 charisma and +1 of any ability of their choice. Size is medium, I believe.
Yeah, medium.
Yeah, 30-foot movement. They have shape changer. So as an action, they can change their appearance and voice. You determine the specifics. You can also adjust your height and weight, but not so much that your size changes. So you still have to stay a medium creature. You cannot become a small creature. You can appear to be another race. Your stats don't change, but you can't be another race. You can't duplicate the appearance of a creature you've never seen. And you must adopt a form that has the same basic arrangement of limbs you have. So you can't sprout extra arms or something and become Goro, unfortunately. Your clothing and equipment aren't changed with you, only your actual physical body.
Yep.
And you stay into this form until you revert back to your true form or die. And then they get 2 proficiencies in Deception, Insight, Intimidation, or Persuasion. And they get Common and 2 languages of their choice. Very, very fun race.
Yeah, I feel like Changeling is better Kenku because again it sets you up to be this very deceptive, role play heavy kind of character, but where Kenku has to mimic the thing, you can just change into the person as long as they match your kind of size and
As long as they're a
they don't
medium
have
creature.
they don't have multiple limbs. So if you're trying to break into, say, castle and impersonate the king, you just did it as long as you've seen the king before.
As long as you know what the king looks like and have heard him speak, you can just be the king now.
I know they don't get a lot of like combat based abilities, but I feel like shape change is so possibly broken for the amount of things that you can do with it. And yes, I know I can't change into the dragon and impersonate the dragon or something,
No.
but you could change into an ally, a minion, as long as they're a medium creature, and you can do it as much as you want. It's just an action.
I know. I mean, Vicious at one point literally became like the leader of like a group of like warriors or whatever because he went missing. So he just became that guy and he just walked right in and was like, "Hey guys, I'm back." And they're like, "Oh, hi guy."
You could literally do the whole Yeah, you could literally do the whole I turn into the bad guy trope and the bad guy and me are next to him telling his minion which one to shoot.
Yeah. Like you literally get to do that.
Yeah. I love it. And, this is also the race that I've jokingly said, if you have players that constantly want to change their player character because they get
Just
bored
be
of
a
them, let them
changeling.
be a changeling. Because if you feel like being a dwarf, well, you can't be a dwarf because they're no, they're medium sized. You could be a dwarf.
Medium?
Yeah, dwarves are medium
Okay.
technically.
Just figure
It's like,
small.
you feel like being a dwarf today? Well, shape change into one. I'm tired of
Let's be one.
making a new character. You just
Agreed.
can't change your class.
I think honestly, I mean, shape change is great. I'm honestly okay putting them in A tier. They're not super broken. They're not bad. It's just like it's always a useful ability to have.
I'd say the role play implications almost borderline like super broken because shape change with the
It is
changing your
like
voice
it's
and stuff
literally
like that.
better than casting Disguise Self. You
It-
literally
and
just become a person.
Yeah, and honestly, it's better than like the rogue's ability to like, if you're an assassin, you can spend a week and some money to like disguise yourself and make all this like stuff about you, or you can be a changeling and just do it in 6 seconds. I honestly I think changeling is the S tier for role playing classes.
I'd say so too.
I'm not
I mean,
against
they don't
that.
get too much
I
for combat, but I like the role play aspects just outweigh the because you can use their phenomenal like role play like toolkit to avoid a lot of combat
Yeah.
situations very easily.
yeah
If you
I
already are something, yeah.
yeah, changeling is, like I said, they might not have the combat prowess some of the other ones, but you can get yourselves into so many situations as a changeling. Put yourself in the right places at the right time to deal the most amount of damages. You could take the shape of the big bad's general, roll well enough to fool them, and then when the party starts fighting them, whip your sword out and jank them in the side as a surprise attack, and then get extra damage for that. So I want to put it in S tier. I I personally think Changeling is better than Furbolg, but only you have to be creative. If you are not very creative or you have a DM that is a stick in the mud, it might not be that good. But if you have someone who likes fun and is
Likes
uh,
fun.
Likes
yeah,
I
likes fun,
will
and you have
say
a
highly
player that
recommend checking out Vicious as Dalabraka. It is so funny. All of his forms, because his name is Dalabraka, have some kind of DB in it. So at one point he becomes a big buff dude, and he's called Dabrock, and walks around calling people jabronis and being just the Rock. And like that's just all of his characters are like that. It's always really fun. You get to be multiple characters in one. Even if you don't use it for infiltration, you can have like 5 personalities your character just swaps between for
I've always
things.
wanted to play a changeling that just alters like between 4 or 5 different personalities over the course of whenever he feels like it. And like one day he might be like this big buff like half orc, and the next day he's like this petite little elf girl, and they're like, "What happened?" He's like, "I just felt like being this today."
I just felt like it's just how I felt today.
I got tired of being an orc, so I'm gonna be this elf now for a little bit. I hope you guys don't mind. I think it's an S tier.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Dwarves.
Ooh, dwarves. Another. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the players' handbook races are gonna get pooped on by some of the.
I mean, yeah.
There's a couple. There's a couple
standouts.
Yeah, I like dwarf. I like they've added a bunch of like sub dwarf races. So again, there's a ton of
options.
Yeah, options. And dwarf is like one of the ones where you can get like extra.
Oh yeah,
extra. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You think they'd be small, but they're technically medium. I think because their stoutness. I think one of the it's the mountain dwarf. You can get 2+2s, which is pretty pretty cool. But I'll let you read through all those before I get to that myself.
+2, great. Medium size, which is interesting. They have a base walking speed of 25, and their speed is not reduced by wearing heavy armor, which is actually really nice. Dark vision, they have dwarven resilience, so you have advantage on saving throws against poison, and you have resistance to poison damage. Proficiency with battle axe, hand axe, light hammers, and war hammers. They have tool proficiencies in a smithing tool, brewing supplies, or a mason's tools, one of their choice. Whenever you make an intelligence history check related to the origin of stonework, you are considered proficient in history and add double your proficiency bonus to the check instead of the normal proficiency bonus. Then they get common and dwarvish. And then there's a couple of different sub races. There's the Drugar, who gets a +1 strength. Their dark vision is doubled to 120. They can also get undercommon. They have advantage against being charmed or paralyzed. And then at 3rd level, they can use enlarge reduce on themselves, only being able to enlarge themselves, so they just become real big. At 5th level, they can also use invisibility on themselves. They can do this once, I believe, per day, and they don't need any spell components. And you can't cast them in direct sunlight, though. Although sunlight has no effect on them once they're cast. You can do this once per long rest. Intelligence is their modifier. And then Drugar specifically have sunlight sensitivity. Feels bad. Hill dwarves get +1 to wisdom and get a +1 to hit point maximum for every level, which is, I mean, that's just nice.
That's that's 23 hit points if you go all the way to level 20.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna skip Mark of the Warding Dwarf.
That's fine.
Because, no offense, but a lot of those like extra sub races from Eberron it's a lot.
Yeah, that's fine.
+2 to strength for Mountain Dwarf, and they also get proficiency with light and medium armor, just baseline.
Yep.
Ultimately,
dwarf is good.
They're great tanks.
What's so funny with what's so funny with dwarf? I feel like Nick was a dwarf, but I feel like most people don't want to be dwarves. Like most people I play with, dwarf never comes up as like a race that people want to play. I felt like wizards went out of their way to be like, you should really look at dwarf because they are good. They have good stuff.
They do. That's some good stuff.
They are good soup.
Unfortunately, they're not like incredible.
They're not incredible. They're not incredible.
I mean, all the players' handbook races honestly have a hard time comparing to a lot of the other ones.
But I will say the saving throw against being poisoned and resistance against poison damage is very good.
It is nice.
Duergar is good too, minus sunlight sensitivity. They unfortunately don't have the pack tactic like offset like kobolds do. Yeah. But
they do get depending on
the invisibility is great. Again, if you're in Curse of Strahd and you're a Duergar, you don't have to worry about it. And you can just enlarge yourself for free.
And advantage against charm in Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And Mountain Dwarf, the proficiency in light and medium armor is
you're gonna get that from your class.
Yeah, whatever. But the +2 to strength to get a +2/+2 is good. I think dwarves.
You can play like a mountain dwarf as like a wizard, and you can now be a wizard in medium armor.
That's true.
Which is always really nice. But you're as far as
honestly, I think you'd be better as a Hexblade Warlock.
Probably. Unfortunately,
Granted, I think you get
don't
medium
get
already for Warlock. Yeah.
I think no, but I think you do get medium for Hexblade.
Yeah.
I know you get martial
weapons. Hexblade uses charisma for their modifier anyway, so yeah, you're not really built for that. Yeah, the light and medium armor, anything a dwarf's gonna be is gonna get those proficiencies anyways.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, it's pretty useless. I think they're a solid B, very solid B class.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, they have that overall well-rounded feel.
Yeah, like they're not incredible, they're not bad, they're a little bit better than average.
Like if we're rolling in with like if we were to start a new party next week and we rolled in and somebody popped up as a satyr and somebody popped up as a changeling, I'd be like, okay, this party's gonna be steamrolling literally every encounter, every situation.
But
so if
you come up, great, no poisons.
you come up with dwarves and hobgoblins and tabaxi. I'm like, okay, this feels like a balanced party. Like you don't have to worry about being overtuned.
I mean, even a lot of the A tier ones aren't like super overtuned.
True.
They just get like a lot of good abilities that are very prevalent. They're still not like broken. It's not satyr. I don't have advantage on all magic saves. I think that's a good spot for dwarf. I have to take a second to get back. So, Kalishtar. I know nothing about this race. I'm not gonna lie.
Of all of the Eberron races, this is the one I cared the least about.
Yeah. So let's see what they get. I actually don't know what they get. So they get Wisdom +2, Charisma +1. That's neat. I believe they're considered a medium creature.
They're medium.
Yes, it says medium. But the ones that have like all of the calculations and stuff on it, it's just a big wall of text, and it's hard to see what the actual size is. 30-foot walking speed. They have advantage on all wisdom saving throws, just in general.
Good.
That's nice. Magic or otherwise. They're resistant to psychic damage. That's actually incredible. That does not come up like ever.
No, but the only problem with psychic damage is there's not a ton of things that do psychic damage, but continue on.
There are a lot of spells that do psychic damage. Does have Mind Link, so you can speak telepathically to any creature that you can see, provided the creature's number of feet equal to 10 times your level. You don't need to share a language. They can just understand you. But they do need to understand at least a language. When you're using the trait to speak telepathically to a creature, you can use your action to give that creature the ability to speak telepathically with you for 1 hour, or until you end this effect as an action. Use this thing, you must be able to see you, and must be within the trait's range. You can give this ability to only one creature at a time. Giving it to a creature takes it away from the last one. And then they have Severed from Dreams, which looks like it's a sleep thing. So Kalishtar sleep, but don't connect to the plane of dreams as other creatures do. Instead, their minds draw from the memories of their otherworldly spirit while they sleep. As such, you are immune to spells and other magical effects that require you to dream, like the dream spell, but not to spells like sleep that would put you to sleep. And they get common, Quori, and another language of your choice. I'm assuming Quori is probably an Eberron language.
I think so. So Mind Link's free message, basically.
Free message, and you can create a telepathic link with someone for an hour. That's cool.
Yeah.
The
psychic
damage is nice.
Yeah, the psychic damage is nice.
And advantage on all wisdom saves
also nice.
A lot of really powerful things that require wisdom saves.
Yeah, also really good. I think the Severed from Dreams sounds cool, but I don't know of too many good dream spells. The only one, I guess, that works or doesn't work. I mean,
probably like 2 or 3. I don't know off the top of my head what they are. I'd have to look into that. But I mean, any magical effect or spell that makes you dream, you don't have to deal with it. That can be a little interpretive as well as to what is considered a dream and what is not. So have fun with that one. You can still be put to sleep though, so feels bad. Like, I mean, I don't know. Mind Link is just, there's no reason that Mind Link is like, it's just good.
It's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's there. It's cool. It's useful. Yeah, I mean, there's many a times where message helps, but I think message you can send to people without seeing them, where you have to see them for this Mind Link thing, unless you use this telepathic piece.
Might have maybe more. I don't know.
Oh no, you have to. That creature has to see you to use the telepathic ability too.
Yes.
So
but
it's
once
a little.
I think the thing is, once you apply it to them, you then can just be wherever within an hour. Because in order to use it to create the link, you have to see them and be within the range. But after that, they're just telepathically linked with you.
So the two big ones are the wisdom save
And the psychic
advantage
damage
and the
resistance.
psychic
Yeah.
resistance.
Honestly, I mean, they're good.
I think it's a C, a high C. I like the wisdom save. I like the resistance. Resistance and those are always good, but there's just nothing here that really makes me dance. I don't think there are some powerful psychic spells, but it's not a huge damage type, from what I remember.
Yeah. Whereas you compare it to like the Goliath, who has resistance against cold, and cold I feel like is way more
I
prevalent
think it's
than
about the
psychic.
same,
I
actually.
actually think it's about the
I
same.
think
Yeah.
cold and
You
psychic are about
think
the
so?
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, actually, there
'Cause-
might be more psychic than cold. Especially with a lot of the newer spells that have been coming out, they've been adding a lot of psychic damage spells.
Yeah, I think of like
That is
environmental
Because
true,
like
they
stuff
have.
Mind
too.
Sliver is a psychic damage spell, and that also does a lot of extra stuff. But I mean, the Wisdom save is really like Wisdom psychic damage is nice, especially if you're fighting Mind Flayers. And the Wisdom save is just incredible. There's a lot of really, really strong Wisdom save ability. I mean, Hold Person, I think, is a Wisdom save, right? So you have advantage on that. And it's not just spells, it's all saves. All Wisdom saves.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a spell, it can be anything that would require a Wisdom save.
That is true. That is useful. I think I'm gonna say it's still a high C for me. I don't
That's
know. What do
fair.
you guys feel?
I
I
could
would say
get
C or
behind high
B,
C.
personally. I think C is fine.
Oh,
Though.
if it's a B, it's a low B. That's why I'm
Yeah.
good putting it above Goliath and Kenku though.
That's how I feel. I think it should definitely be above those and probably below Dwarf.
Oh, there actually is an Orc of Eberron thing in this tier list, which we will be skipping.
Yeah, I skipped over because Orc of Eberron is it's literally Orc, I'm pretty sure. But they probably have different alignment stuff. I mean, Shifters!
Shifter.
These are I know nothing about this. That's not true. I do know. They're the beast people, that's right. Okay. So this is gonna be a little weird because it's based on their like beast lineage.
Yeah.
For what their stats are. But they get 30-foot movement speed, they're a medium creature, they have dark vision, they have shifting. So as a bonus action, you can assume a more bestial appearance, which lasts for a minute or until you die, or you decide to revert back as a bonus action. When you shift, you get temporary hit points equal to your level plus con mod. That's nice. You gain additional benefits that depend on your subrace. Once you shift, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. You get it once per short rest. You get common, and then you have your subrace, which there's Beast Hide, which gives you athletics as a free proficiency, and then con +2, strength +1, and then you gain an additional d6 of temporary hit points when you shift, and a +1 to your armor. Longtooth gets +2 strength +1 dex. They get proficiency in intimidation, and then when they shift, they can make an unarmed strike as a bonus action using their fangs. If you hit with your fangs, you deal piercing damage to 1d6 plus strength instead of a normal unarmed strike, which is kind of cool. Swift Stride gets +2 dex, +1 charisma, proficiency in acrobatics, and then they get a 10-foot movement speed buff when they're shifted, and additionally you can move up to 10 feet as a reaction when a creature ends its turn within 5 feet of you, which does not provoke opportunity of attacks. That's neat. You can kind of escape stuff. And then Wild Hunt gets Wisdom +2, Dex +1, Survival proficiency, and while shifted, you have advantage on Wisdom checks, and no creature within 30 feet of you can make an attack roll with advantage against you unless you're incapacitated. That's really interesting. As far as my initial opinions, because I honestly don't know a whole lot about this, shifting being a bonus action
is cool.
Really, really nice.
It's nice.
It's a little unfortunate it's not more than once per short rest. I think
at least it's better than once per long rest.
That's true. If it was equal to your proficiency, I definitely think this would be a really, really good race.
Yeah, same.
But with it being a once per short rest, I think it's definitely a little bit worse. You only get to do it one time. Or 3 times a day.
The shifting features are
they're neat.
Not all equal either.
Definitely
like some
not.
seem better than others. I looked at being a shifter at one point. I ultimately went away from it. I think it's another high C race. And again, their only real kicker is their shifting ability, which they can do for 1 minute for a rest, basically.
Yeah.
And there's once you use it, then you might as well just be a potato with a sword. You don't get anything else that's
true.
special. And you get proficiency and perception, but So does half the other races.
It's true. It does seem like the shifter ability itself seems really cool in its concept, but it lasting 1 minute
Yeah.
per short rest
1
is
minute and you
definitely
only get it one time. It is a little
Yeah.
unfortunate.
yeah. If it was like
And
even if it like it lasted for an hour or something, then you can go through a bulk of a
Yeah, you can get like
dungeon.
2
yeah,
combats in
But
that.
1 minute is like you just went through the front door
yeah.
Yeah. You
It,
get like
and
a combat with it, and that's it.
it's kind of like the Asamir's ability where they like go for 1 minute or whatever, but they have a bunch of other
Yeah, they get
abilities
other
on
stuff. Yeah, this
top
only
of
gets
that,
shifting.
and this only gets shifting. So I think it's a high C. I think I like it better than the Kalistar personally.
Yeah, same.
yeah,
I
But
think
I
that's
could
fair.
agree with that.
My initial
I would
thoughts was like low B, high C. So yeah, I think that's
I
fair.
think if the ability was
If
either
it was
A
longer or
more
you gained
frequent or
more,
B yep,
yeah,
yeah.
I
exactly.
definitely think it'd be like easily like a B or an A. But
Yeah.
it being once per rest does feel a little. Eh. Warforged. I
Yay.
also love Warforged. These are super cool.
Yeah, Warforges are cool.
They're great. All right, so they have +2 con, +1 of any ability. They are medium creature. They have 30-foot walking speed. They have resilience, or construct of resilience, so they have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned and resistance to poison. They don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. They're immune to diseases, and they don't need to sleep, and magic can't put them to sleep. When they take a long rest, they have to spend 6 hours inactive, motionless, rather than sleeping. However, they are not unconscious, and they can see and hear as normal, which is literally the best thing to have
Really
in your
good.
party when you're trying to
Yep.
set up camp. They have just an inherent +1 to AC. They're not allowed to don armor. Technically, they can only have armor that they're proficient with. The only armor they're allowed to have is a shield. But any armor they do try to wear, they have to instead spend an hour to essentially make it their body, and then that is just their armor. They can take it off as well by spending another hour to remove it. And while you live, the armor incorporating your body can't be removed against your will, so they just literally have that AC baseline plus the +1. They get a proficiency and tool proficiency for anything of their choice, a skill and a tool, and they get common and a language of their choice.
Honestly, I'd say that they're pretty stinking strong and versatile. I mean, we talk about how nice it is to have the races that can breathe underwater for a substantial amount of time. They don't even have to breathe. They don't
No.
need
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
They
literally
Or
can't
basically
be
eat it, or eat or
suffocated.
drink.
Yeah.
Yep, you basically don't really have to rest with them either. So during your long rest, when you're rolling for random encounters, I mean, it's less
They
likely
just
that you'll be
know.
They're
Yeah.
surprised.
aware. They're
They
aware
are
of what's
fully
going on.
alert.
Yep. Plus,
Yep.
you get +2 con, which is always useful, and then the other attribute you can put wherever you want.
Yep, very versatile.
Yeah.
They get the +1 to AC, making them inherently tankier.
And the
Um,
armor they wear can't be
yeah, you
removed.
literally
So again,
can't
if
remove
you're
their
Yeah.
armor.
captured, you okay, fine. You just have armor on.
Yeah.
You have plate armor on.
Yep, I just
Yep.
have a 19 AC. Sorry. Just play
Yeah,
18,
no,
they get the +1.
I think they're really, really strong for
They're a very
those
good tanky
reasons.
class. They
I
also
think the big
have
thing
the resistance to poison.
Yeah, no, the
Which is
poison
nice.
thing is huge, or immune to diseases too, because there's some diseases that you can contract and things like that, or I think there's spells that give disease and things like that, or the ability that you can't be put to sleep. There's magical effects in games that put you to sleep all the time. Um, I really like the free ability score to any
Yeah.
one. So it's like, oh, I'm making a warlock, warforge, boom, charisma. I'm making a
fighter, strength.
fighter, strength. I'm making a rogue, so and +2 con is always good. Like it's never not good.
Honestly,
Man,
I think A tier. Above
A
Portal.
tier.
A tier for sure.
Yeah, A tier above Turtle.
I don't
As
know
funny as
above
it is,
anything else, but
we gave S to Changeling. I almost want to give S to Warforged too because they're good. What you can do with them is just good.
I don't know if they're because they're a very well-rounded race. They're not like broken. They're definitely very good, but they're not like
I feel like
unstoppable.
They're like very good for like you know how you're introducing somebody to D&D and you give them a really simple class and do like a one shot. Like I feel like Warforged is one of those things that gives you a little bit of versatility up front and that you can choose your attributes. And then from there it's just super straightforward, but like the benefits make it for an easier experience starting out. The bumps to AC and stuff like that.
Yeah, bump to AC.
I think the bump to AC, a +1 bump is always huge. So even if you're playing like a wizard that doesn't normally wear armor, well, I guess the question would be if you had to cast mage armor on yourself, would you still get that +1 bump or no?
It's just a +1 to your armor class.
Okay.
So
So,
yes.
so you would get that. That +1 is like life and death there kind of thing. They could really almost be any class.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things you just don't have to worry about, like the eating, drinking, the breathing, the not needing to sleep, the you're basically the alert feat for your party.
Pretty much, yeah.
With the ability to like not, I mean, you can be surprised, but like in terms of sleeping, you're more alert.
You're always the watch guard.
Yeah, you're always the watch guard. Uh there's just a lot of good stuff here. Like there's nothing where in some of the A tiers, there's a few things where I could be like, that's eh. I don't think Warforged has the eh. That's why I think
No,
it's an
everything is
S.
good.
I think it's a low S. I think it's lower than Fearbolg S, but I think it's an S tier.
I could get behind that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I guess. All right. Give Yankees. Space Cops.
The Gith?
So there are two kinds of Gith Yankees. But to start off,
Why are you calling them Gith Yankees?
that's their full title is Gith Yankee.
Oh, really?
Well, one of the sub races is Gith Yankee, and that's the more common one.
Oh,
there's also the Gith Zerai.
Oh, this thing only has the UA GIF in it. That sucks. I might have that on BM.
Yeah. So Giths, they get a +1 to intelligence baseline. They know common in Gith, 30-foot movement. I believe they're considered medium because they're essentially humans, just slightly taller and slightly thinner. And then if you go Gith Yankee, you get a +2 to strength. You are proficient in light and medium armor and short swords, long swords, and great swords, which is kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
You go Mage Hand, and the Mage Hand is invisible while you cast it with your trait. When you get 3rd level, you can cast Jump once with the trait, and you can do it once per long rest. At 5th level, you gain Misty Step once per long rest, and Intelligence, your spellcasting ability for all of that. Or there's the Gith Zerai, which get a +2 to Wisdom. They have mental discipline, so they have advantage against being charmed and frightened. And then they also get Mage Hand, which is invisible. Instead, at 3rd level, they get Shield, which they can do once per long rest. And at 5th level, they get Detect Thoughts once per long rest. And Wisdom is their spellcasting ability for those. Not that I think any of those really have anything. Or maybe Detect Thoughts has rolls for it. Overall, they're great. Sword and
Is it bad to
sorceries.
say I have zero opinion about these guys?
Honestly, I think they're cool. Would I ever play one?
Probably not.
Probably not. Honestly, they're great for like very specific things. They're cool. They're a fun, like, weird race to have because they don't come up very much, but they're cool. They get some neat stuff. I mean, advantage to Charmed and Frightened on the 1 is pretty cool. But I mean, they're not bad. Everything they get is good. Free spells.
Yeah, that's true.
Free proficiencies.
I think they sound like a B to me.
Yeah.
Like a low B.
I will say getting shield once for free is really nice though. Even if
you're
not like a spell,
really
like
nice.
as like a fighter, you can just cast shield once for free.
Nice.
That's incredible. And Invisible Mage Hand is literally just Arcane Trickster.
I was going to say that's one of the
Arcane
Trickster's big key features.
Yeah, they just get to do that.
I'm good putting them in mid B. We'll put them under Hobgoblin to respect nerdy and put them between Hobgoblin and Aracakra. How's that sound?
That sounds fine with me.
That works.
All right. Centaur, which I think is the only large player race in the game.
Yeah, my thing says medium, but this could be
wrong.
Are
they really mediums?
Because it's been wrong a few times.
That's incredible. They actually are medium creatures.
I think yours is more official than mine because my Eberron stuff for Shifter was all wrong. But
I'm looking at D&D Beyond's exactly. Yeah. So they get +2 strength, +1 wisdom. They are a medium creature. Surprisingly, I actually thought they would be large, but no, they're actually medium. 40-foot walking speed though, just base. They're also considered a Fae instead of human, which is huge.
That's big.
They have a charge ability, so if they move at least 30 feet straight forward towards a target and then hit it with a melee attack on the same turn, you can immediately follow that attack with a bonus action, making one attack against the target with your hooves, which are a d4 plus strength bludgeoning weapon instead of your unarmed strikes. That's cool. They have equine build, so they are considered one size larger when determining all the stuff. In addition, any climb that requires hands or feet is especially difficult for you because of your horse legs. When you make such a climb, each foot of movement costs you 4 extra feet instead of the normal 1. They have proficiency in one of the following skills of animal handling, medicine, nature, or survival. And then they know common and Sylvan. You are big horse.
Charge is kind of cool.
Charge is cool.
Charge is cool, and I think being Fey instead of humanoid
being Fey
is also
big.
huge.
Yeah, being Fey is huge.
Like that's almost up there with like, I mean, it's not as strong as magical resistance, but it's one of those things where you go, if you're not humanoid, that automatically gets you on one side of the tier list versus the other.
Yeah, it's incredibly
in my
powerful.
opinion.
However, I mean, 40 feet movement is also really big.
Yeah, that's a really good movement.
I will say their equine build, but I don't know, equestrian build, whatever you want to call it. Their horse feet definitely kind of sucks.
With the climbing thing.
Yeah, anytime you're in like any kind of climbing or whatever, it's difficult terrain. Sucks to suck. And their charge is nice. However, I believe the Minotaur has pretty much the same thing, but better.
Okay.
I
think we're coming up with them.
Yeah, we are coming up with them pretty soon. 2 more. We have Loxodon first and the Minotaur.
Yeah,
it's a little bit better. They get some.
I think the hooves and the charge feature is cool if you are a melee character, because if you're a spellcaster, you're not going to run up
you're never
and swag people with your legs.
40 foot movement's great though.
That is great, and so is Fey.
And although it technically doesn't say this, you are a horse, so technically a party member could potentially mount you.
It would have to be a small party member because they must be one size larger to mount.
Are you considered? Well, you are considered one size larger for carrying capacity.
Yeah, I would.
So they can ride you if that's a thing your DM wants to be nice about.
I would say as a DM that I would consider them carrying you. Which would
now, if you have a small race, then just rules as written. You are literally a horse. They can ride you.
Yeah, in the battle.
It is really funny. But
I don't even know on these guys because I feel like their Fey and speed is great, but their charge and hooves is sort of okay.
I mean, they do get the they have a natural weapon. Those are always
neat. And then
you have a lot of the natural weapons up in like A and B tier.
That's true. And then equine build, I'm good giving them a B. I think.
I'm okay with like a B or a low A.
I'm good with B.
Good with B.
I like B.
We're in B.
I'll put them above. No,
Are we gonna respect nerdy and put them below Hobgoblin?
I'm putting them between Aracakra and Triton. I feel like that's pretty fair.
Sounds good.
Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Loxodon.
Some of these I've never played before, so I have less of an opinion on. So Loxodon.
Elephant people. +2 con, +1 wisdom.
One of the other players in my Tomb of Annihilation is a Loxodon.
They're kind of cool. Medium size. They have powerful build, so one size larger for carrying and stuff.
There it is.
30-foot walking speed. They have Loxodon Serenity, so they have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. They have a natural armor. Actually, no, they had that, which is 12 plus Constitution modifier. And a shield's benefit apply as normal. So that's cool. They have the trunk, so you can grasp things with your trunk and can use it as a snorkel. It has a reach of 5 feet, and it can lift a number of pounds equal to 5 times your strength score. You can use it to do the following simple tasks: lift, drop, hold, push, or pull an object or a creature, open or close a door or a container, grapple someone, or make an unarmed strike. Your DM might allow other simple tasks to be added to that list of options. It can't wield weapons or shields or anything that requires manual precision, such as using tools or magic items. So, sorry, you can't have your trunk cast a wand of fireball. You do have to actually hold the wand of fireball in your real elephant hand.
Or have 3 swords and making 3 attacks with it.
They also have advantage on perception, survival, and investigation checks that involve smell, because they have the big trunk. And they know common and Loxodon. They're all right.
Go ahead. Their natural armor is crappier than some of the other natural armors that we've seen, but it's still natural armor, which is pretty good.
I think 17 max is about on par with some of the other ones.
I will say this though, I think it's a lot tougher to want to raise your con to that +5 to get the 17 than it is for like a strength or some of the other ones we saw, because I've never seen anyone make con their main stat, and I'm sure some people do if they're making a pure like tank build.
Like if you want to be the big tank, that's what you do.
That is important. So maybe these guys are like the ultimate tank kind of thing.
Their trunk does kind of want you to use your strength score in order to get more. More lift on that.
The trunk just kind of feels like
it's so silly.
It's a goofy thing. Yeah, it's a nothing burger in terms of an ability. It
doesn't. I mean, you can grapple people with it, which is really, really cool, or do an unarmed strike with it. But they don't have like a special weapon attack or anything.
Yeah, it's not like a bonus action or anything. It's just your trunk can do it instead of you doing it with your arm.
It's for the lulz. It's because I'm a big elephant. I get to thwack people.
I will say the grapple someone is nice because that means you can grapple someone and you still have 2 free hands to do things.
That's true.
Which is neat. But
that is nice.
Grappling in 5e kind of bad. So how often is that going to happen?
I think this is a C.
I was going to say C too.
Natural armor is nice. Powerful builds always. I mean,
that's what it is. Is natural armor. The trunk is just kind of a gimmick.
I think natural armor, like everything it gets is nice. It's just not going to come up super often.
I think I'd put it above Cankus though.
That's where I have it right now, between Cankus and Goliath.
Yeah, sounds right.
Minotaur. These guys are great. Well, Meniscus, the Minotaur.
You have the ability to be trapped in a labyrinth for all eternity.
Yep, that is your racial ability.
Oh wow, there's actually 2 types. There's a Theros and a Bravinko one. That's cool.
Interesting. I didn't know there was a Theros one. So you get strength +2, con +1. So great. They're considered medium, 30-foot walking speed. They have a D6 piercing damage natural weapon with their horns. They have goring rush. So immediately after you use the dash action on your turn, and you move at least 20 feet, you can make 1 melee attack with your horns as a bonus action. They have hammering horns. So immediately after you hit a creature with a melee attack as part of the attack action on your turn, you can use a bonus action to attempt to shove it with your horns. They must be no more than 1 size larger than you and be within 5 feet of you, unless it succeeds on a strength saving throw equal to 8 plus proficiency plus strength. You can push it 10 feet away from you. They also gain proficiency in intimidation or persuasion, one of those 2, and they know common and minotaur.
The Theros version, the only difference is the alignment again.
Oh, that's okay. Goring Rush is really cool. It allows you to do a dash and still hit people. And horn, I mean a D6.
The horns are better than the hooves. Yeah, the horns are better than the hooves.
Horns are. Anytime you get a D6 natural weapon, you literally have a scimitar for free.
Yeah.
Scimitars are good weapons. Everything else is just. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, hammering horns is cool too.
Yeah, no,
just a free bonus action shove 10 feet. It is a saving throw, and it's a strength save, so a lot of creatures are going to pass that. But
I like the gore rushing because if like you need to charge in the battle, and because you might be using dash as
you're more likely a martial class too, so like that.
Yeah,
you're coming in with it.
You would lose. It's kind of like the aggressive for the orc, except you get
to do an attack with your as a bonus action, and you get full movement with it. Well, I mean, I guess aggressive was a bonus action to use, and then you can do your normal attack.
Yeah, they're roughly comparable. I just think having the horns as being a free scimitar short sword is better than just what aggressive gives. I think they're a good B.
Yeah. I'd have to agree. They're like a better centaur, really.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think definitely a better centaur. The centaur's ability to do its little dash thing is definitely, or like its hoof attack is that will definitely probably come up more, but a Minotaur's version is just so much stronger.
Yeah.
Because it technically says you only have to move 20 feet in total, not that your dash action has to be 20 feet. So you don't have to go the full distance.
True.
But anyways,
they make hybrid.
Man, I know nothing about MTG.
I know nothing about this either.
So
I
don't know what this is
about this than any of them. and I didn't know anything about the last like 3 minus lock.
I mean, to be fair, there's not a lot to know about Minotaurs or a Minotaur.
Yeah.
So con +2, and then +1 to anything of your choice. Always nice.
Kind of like Warforged there.
Yeah, medium, 30-foot movement, dark vision, because everything gets dark vision. They know common and either Elvish or Vidalcan, your choice. They have animal enchantment. So your body has been altered to incorporate certain animal characteristics. Choose one animal enchantment now and a second at 5th level. So at 1st level, you can choose Manta Glide. Oh boy. Which allows you to slow fall or allow you to glide. When you fall and are incapacitated, you can track up to 100 feet from a fall when calculating fall damage, and you can move up to 2 feet horizontal for every 1 foot you descend. You can have Nimble Climber, so you can get a climbing speed. Hit with the walking speed, that's it. There's underwater adaptation, so you can breathe in air and water. And you have a swimming speed. Pretty normal stuff.
Yeah.
If you choose that one. Grappling appendages. You have 2 special appendages growing alongside your arm. Choose whether they're both claws or tentacles. As an action, you can use one of them to try to grapple a creature. Each one is also a natural weapon, which is a d6 plus strength mod. Bludgeoning. Immediately after hitting, you can try to grapple a creature as a bonus action. These appendages can't precisely manipulate anything and can't wield weapons, magic items, or their specialized equipment, which, of course, can't have 2 wands of fireball in your extra appendages.
And 2 swords.
Yeah. They can also choose Carapace, so you get +1 to AC when you're not wearing heavy armor. Cool. And then there's Acid Spit. As an action, you can spray acid from glands in your mouth, targeting one creature or object you can see within 30 feet. Take 2d10 acid unless it's successful in the dex save. Equal to 8 plus con plus proficiency. It increases by 1d10 at 11 and 17, capping out at 4d10. And you use this equal to your con mod, minimum of 1 to regain all on a roll.
Almost like it's kind of like a free poison spray that's limited to your con.
Yeah, it's like a free
mod.
Free poison spray at 5th level. That's kind of cool.
It's a nifty race.
Actually, a really interesting race. I've never looked at it before.
I feel like the level 1 enhancements are just so, but the ones you get at 5 feel like the real meat and potatoes.
Oh yeah.
And
so I will say a lot of races, like especially the Tiefling, they usually get like that kind of stuff starting at 3.
Yeah.
And you have to wait till 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to wait a long time for this race to kind of get its really cool racial stuff. Yeah. Like Tiefling, Asamir gets theirs at 3.
Gith gets stuff at 3.
Yeah.
And 5.
That's because I mean the level 1 ones just. The Manta Glide's kind of cool.
Manta Glide's really neat. But...
Yeah, Manta Glide's cool. The climbing speed equal to your walking speed is okay. I guess that would be like if you were a thief rogue, you get that ability. And then you can breathe air and water and you gain a swim speed, which is okay, I guess. But other races are getting that like as not a choice. They just get it.
Yeah, to be fair, you do pick one, but so you do get to have a little bit of customization with this, but you also don't get all of them.
No,
which is unfortunate.
I
mean, they're neat.
What are you guys thinking?
Well, it's definitely better than Shifter, so
yeah.
What's that? Maybe like low B.
That's I was thinking like B, maybe A if you really want to go that. Because I mean, acid spit is it's poison damage. Right? Yeah. I'm sorry, it's not poison damage. It's acid damage, which is technically better because poison is the most resisted damage type in all the 5e, and somehow has like some of the lowest damage numbers as well.
Yeah,
it's really
funny. I'm okay with it. I was thinking C, but no, I actually agree with you when you said they're better than Shifter. I think it's the lowest B though.
Really interesting, like animalistic race though.
Yeah,
I get some cool abilities out of that. Vidalcan, I know nothing about MTG lore.
Another Vajinka race.
I don't know. MTG's a thing. Intelligence
we
+2.
We love you, MTG fans.
And wisdom +1. I have nothing against MTG. I just don't have fun with the game. But int +2, wisdom +1, cool. Size is medium. Speed is 30. They have advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. Again, all of them, not just magical ones. That's actually really good. That's a lot of saving throws.
Yeah, that's really good.
You're proficient in one of the following skills, your choice: Arcana, History, Investigation, Medicine, Performance, or Sleight of Hand. One of those. There's a lot of good ones in there. And then you also get a tool proficiency of your choice. Whenever you make an ability check with the chosen skill or tool, you also get to add a d4. That's cool. You get a low-level Bardic Inspiration on those.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you know Common, Vidalcan, and another language of your choice. And then by absorbing oxygen through your skin, you can breathe underwater for up to an hour. Once you reach that limit, you can't use this trait again until you finish a long rest. That is so good and so terrible.
Yeah.
You get a 1 hour hold your breath underwater, and that's it. You get that one time. You can do it for an hour. Whereas a lot of other, like the
just get it forever.
Like, the lizard folk can literally just do it for 15 minutes at a time and not care.
Yep. Or a Triton just breathes underwater, or a Warforged doesn't breathe at all.
Yeah, there was another one that had like an hour-long hold your breath. Oh, the Turtle could breathe for an hour as well.
So the Vidalcan Dispassion, the advantage on the Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma saves,
Huge.
2 thumbs up.
Oh,
that's
huge.
really good.
Free D4, literally free guidance on one of your proficiencies.
Yeah. One of the proficient skills is pretty good too. So
There's
if you
good
made
ones in there, Sleight of Hand,
and
Arcana, History.
the spread they gave you, fits. I feel like a good amount of different play types
definitely
too.
Variety. Unfortunately,
I
the ability scores definitely kind of lock you into a caster, but
yes, this definitely feels like it would be a caster.
But you can play any kind of caster, really.
Race, yeah. This race really feels like a early supplement race, because I think Ravinka was
It was very
one of the earlier supplement books that they came out with.
Third book? Maybe the
Because I think Sword Coast Adventure was the first one they came
Sword
out
Coast
with.
was first, and then I think it's probably Volos.
Yeah, I think no, it might have been Xanathars.
Xanathars came out a little after. I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
I don't remember. It was earlier in the 5e life cycle though. So this feels like when they were playing around with some cool things, and it's not to like some of the later stuff that we got. I'm good giving it a low B above the Simic Hybrid.
Honestly, I think its resistance or its advantage on saving throws definitely bumps it up to like pretty high in B tier.
You think so?
It's got literally half the ability scores. It just has advantage.
Yeah, that is really true. I know a lot of spells, there's dex saves involved too, but you still have 3. Yeah, okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, literally like half of because I feel like the spread is pretty even.
The question is it better than Hobgoblin?
I mean, is advantage better than a +3?
I'm gonna say no. I think the +3 is still better.
But is a free guidance on one ability also coupled with the advantage better than a +2 to 4 to 5?
The thing with it's free guidance on not all of those. It's free guidance on the one that
2
you pick.
Technically, because it's the tool and the proficiency.
I think it's okay. I don't think it's really that great of ability. I think Hobgoblin's possible +5 to its hit is good. The only thing is that was only for what, a short or a long rest. You can only do that one time per short or long rest with their race. So. You get your proficiency or your advantage every single friggin' time. So if you're up against a wizard who's making you do intelligence saves, I have advantage. So they both feel equal for different reasons. But I will respect nerdy and put it under Hobgoblin.
That's fair. I'll put it there above Gith.
Oh, Elf.
I play so many elves.
Elf is, I think, the most played race in all of 5e and D&D in general, and it's good.
Oh boy, so there's a lot.
There's
all right. I'm gonna skip Eladrin variant, but I'll also probably skip Mark of Shadow because I think that's the number one.
Okay, so real quick, I think Eladrin are really, really cool. It's a lot to read, but basically
they're great flavor, but get like nothing.
Yeah, well, their ability to like shift between the different elements gives you some kind of cool abilities when you do it. They're not the greatest, but I do agree they're more of a role play race than a good race.
So elves baseline get a dex +2. They are a medium creature, 30-foot walking speed, dark vision, because of course, free proficiency in perception, which is awesome. They have advantage against being charmed and cannot magically be put to sleep. And then they technically, for long rests, they don't need to actually sleep. They just need to go into a trance for 4 hours. So they do get a slightly shorter long rest. And then they know Common and Elvish, which they're fluid in Elvish as well. Of course. Or Elvish is a fluid language, because that's what a lot of these do. So, Drow also get a +1 to charisma. Their dark vision's doubled. They have sunlight sensitivity. That's whatever. They also know dancing lights. At 3rd level, they get fairy fire. And at 5th level, they get darkness. And they can cast all of these once per long rest, with the exception of the cantrip. They get that forever. And charisma is their ability for that. Then they also gain proficiency in rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. Oh, you know what? No, never mind. The thing I'm thinking of is specifically for high elf. So Eladrin, there's a lot here.
They get read it.
+1 charisma, cool, and then they can use face steps as a bonus action. They basically get Misty Step as a bonus action once per short rest or long rest. And then at 3rd level, the face step gains additional features based on what season you're in. Essentially, you can change your season and get bonus effects on that. It can do things like charm a creature, frighten a creature. You can bring someone with you, or
do fire
you can
damage.
deal fire damage equal to your charisma, which 5 fire damage, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
High elf gets +1 intelligence. They gain proficiency in long swords, short bows, and longbows. They get a free cantrip from the wizard list. They use intelligence, and then they gain an extra language. Mark of the Shadow Elf, I'm going to skip because there's just nothing but a wall of text with all of those. There's just so much to go through. They get like extra spells.
Elves have a ton of options.
Sea Elf, which I actually didn't know was a thing.
Yeah, Mordecanians.
I see. They get +1 to con. They have proficiency with spear, trident, light crossbows, and net, which is an interesting proficiency to gain. They have a swim speed of 30 feet, and they can breathe in water. Using gestures and sounds, they can communicate simple ideas with any beast that has an innate swimming speed. Kind of cool. Never gonna come up, honestly, unless you're really in the water. And then they have Aquan as a language. Cool. Shadar Kai are crazy, and I love them, but they're not the greatest. They get a +1 con. They have resistance to necrotic, and then as a bonus action, they can teleport 30 feet, and they can do this once per long rest, so they get the free Misty Step. And then at 3rd level, they also gain resistance to all damage when they teleport using the trait, and the resistance lasts till the start of their next turn. And then during that time, they appear ghostly and translucent.
That's cool.
Shadar Kai are really fun in the lore because they're literally just like, we don't care about anything, but our queen said to go do stuff, and that's all we care about. And then Wood Elves get a +1 wisdom. They have proficiency in the same things as the High Elf. So long sword, short bow, longbow. They get an extra 5 feet of movement, so they have 35 feet base. And then they can attempt to hide, even when only lightly obscured, by foliage, heavy rain, falling snow, mist, or other natural phenomenon. A lot of stuff. Mostly a lot of nothing, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Elves have a lot of options, and the options are good. One thing I do like is High Elf's ability to get a free cantrip from the wizard spell list, because really nice. Depending on, like, I played a rogue, I did an arcane trickster rogue and did a High Elf, and taking like Booming Blade or Green Flame Blade immediately at level 1 and being able to do the sneak attack both BS with it is awesome. So that's really cool.
Darby
I feel
is
like
technically a High Elf, and that's how he knows Firebolt. But because it uses intelligence, it has like a +2.
Yep. Sea Elf is just Triton, but you're an elf.
Yeah, literally it's just Elf Triton, but with like slightly less. Because technically the Triton can like fully communicate and speak underwater. This one can only gesture. It can't like fully communicate, but it's still neat. And it can only communicate to beasts, whereas the Triton can communicate to literally anything.
Yep.
Shadar Kai are cool.
Yeah.
As far as lore is concerned, and resistance to necrotic and all damage at 3rd level for a round is kind of nice.
That's pretty cool. I feel like Eldrin are cool lore-wise too, but you're right. Their actual ability is pretty. It's like the shifter ability. It's like a one-time blow and you're done.
Mm-hmm. You get a Misty Step that does bonus things, and Shadar Kai does the same thing.
Yeah, Dark Elf, everyone's favorite edgelord.
Good old Drizdor
race. Yeah, sunlight sensitivity, it blows. You don't really have a way to offset it. I
get some cool spells. I mean,
what do we think about Elf? I feel like it's B, but like not a high B.
I think it's about where Dwarf is, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think that's where most of the players handbook races.
Our
Dwarf
A?
was below B.
Dwarf we have in B.
Yeah, he's low B.
Do we? I thought we put Dwarf in A.
No, we put Dwarf in B.
Oh, my bad. I think I tossed it in the wrong spot then. I'm cool with that.
I still think it should be B, personally. It's above Simic, below Dwarf. I mean, maybe above Dwarf. I don't know. It has more options than Dwarf.
Yeah, no,
make it better.
I'm super cool with that because
honestly, I think they're about the same.
I feel like everyone plays elves because they're elves, and
You know?
people like elves. People want to be elves.
Everyone wants to be whatever his name is from Lord of the Rings.
Legolas.
I remember some of the actor name, but yeah, Legolas.
Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, that guy. I forgot his name. Do we care about Verdun? I'm not gonna lie.
I was gonna say it's after 10:30 here. Why don't we jump all the way to Gnome and just finish up the player's handbook ones, and maybe end up with Haragon and Fairy because those were the two from Witchlight. Because I'll be honest, I don't know jack about Verdun, Locath, Grung, and
I know about Grungs because
Yeah,
I've looked into
you
playing
looked
them a
into it.
bunch. I think they're hilarious. The only thing really worth noting is they're immune to poison damage, and they have like an inherent poison thing that they can do. But they also don't know common, they only know Grung. And they literally gain exhaustion every day if they don't submerge themselves in water for at least an hour.
Oh.
Which is why I think they're hilariously fun, because it creates a problem that you have to solve every single day for your entire campaign.
Yeah.
Because you have to deal with it. They're not good. They're really bad, but they're hilarious.
It sounds hilarious. I hate to say it. Would you say they're a D tier?
Oh,
then?
they're easily a D tier.
Yeah.
All right, D
They
tier.
do get
Are they
+2? So they get +2 Dex, +1 Con, and they also are amphibious, so they can breathe in water. They have 25 base walking speed, but
they have crap movement too.
But they also have a climb speed of 25.
Oh,
they have proficiency in perception. They have a big jump. They can jump 25 feet for long jump and 15 feet for high jump, because of course they're frogs. And then the poison skin is a DC 12 con save. You can poison a creature for a minute. And a poison creature no longer in direct contact with you can repeat the save.
Where indeed do you put them?
Honestly, they're probably worse than bugbears. Sure, it's great. They have immunity to poison, which is great, and the poison condition, just like the Yantee Pureblood, which is absolutely
insane. If you go
insane.
into a desert,
yeah, but
useless.
also you literally
so
gain
limited.
exhaustion. If you spend 6 days and you can't find water, you actually die.
If the Grung pisses the party off, they can just prevent it from going to the water till it dies.
Yeah. I believe it's a small creature. Yeah, it's a small creature, so you can. People have easily found ways around it. Like if you play like Druid or something, you can just use create water and technically just
douse yourself.
Put yourself in a little bubble for an hour and call it a day. But it is funny. I like them. They're so dumb. They have no right being a thing.
All right, let's move on to Gnome.
So gnomes. Gnomes get some dumb stuff.
Gnomes are cool.
Though. By dumb stuff, I mean gnome cunning. That's really it. So they get +2 intelligence, baseline for all of them. They're a small creature, 25 walking, feels bad. Dark vision. They have advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic, specifically magic. Not all of them, like the other one, the Vidalcan, which had it against everything. They know common and gnomish. And there's a couple of them here. So we have the deep gnome, which gets a dex +1. It gets 120-foot dark vision. Gains advantage on stealth checks to hide in rocky terrain, and then it gains Undercommon as a language. Forest gnomes get a +1 dex. They know minor illusion, using intelligence as a spellcasting, and through sounds and gestures, you communicate simple ideas with small or smaller beasts. So that's cool. Shocked squirrels. I'm gonna skip house describing or mark describing because
that's fine.
Through those, it's just too much. +1 con. They have Artificer's Lore for the rock gnome here, so they get advantage, or not advantage, sorry. Whenever you make a history check related to magic items, alchemical objects, or technological devices, you can add twice your proficiency bonus instead of the normal one. Then they have Tinker. You have proficiency with artisan tools, specifically Tinker tools. Using those tools, you can spend 1 hour and 10 GP worth of materials to construct a tiny clockwork device with 5 AC and 1 HP. It ceases to function after 24 hours unless you spend an hour repairing it. Or when you use your action to dismantle it, at that time you can reclaim the material. You can have up to 3 of these at a time. So you can choose to create the clockwork toy, which is a small animal of some kind, and when placed on the ground, it'll move 5 feet across the ground on each of your turns in a random direction. And it makes noises as appropriate to the creature it represents. There's the fire starter, which can produce a little mini flame, which you can use to light candles, torches, or campfires, but it does require an action to use it. And then there's the music box, which plays music.
I want to know what noise the soldier makes. Like, do you wind it up and let it go? And it's just like, bring me beer, woman.
I mean, technically, it's whatever
I can make it
makes.
say things, I
I
guess.
mean, whatever's appropriate. If that's what you design your toy creature to be, then that's what it could sound like.
So gnome.
Oh, they're pretty good.
They're,
Advantage on
they're a low B like elf and dwarf.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think they're a little bit better just because of the advantage on saving throws for
Yeah,
magic.
yeah, that's big.
That's pretty big, and everything else is, I mean, it's just good. Unfortunately, they have the 25 walking speed, so.
Yeah, they make pretty awesome like wizards and magic casters and definitely artificers.
Artificer rock gnomes are really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm cool with like a mid-tier B.
I'll put it below the Aracakra. I feel like flying is better than, well, no, maybe that is better than flying. All right. Half elf.
Half elf.
You get all the benefits of elf and all the benefits of human. Not really. Oh boy. I forgot how many. I forgot how many
Oh no.
I'm gonna
just read the base player.
I'm gonna do the player. I mean, there's also the aquatic one, which is probably fine too. It's probably just you get the ability to breathe underwater. Anyways, you get +2 to charisma and +1 of anything, so that's cool. Medium creature, 30-foot walking, dark vision, which makes you better than a human already. You have advantage against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. You get 2 skill proficiencies of your choice. You know, common, elvish, and an extra language. Aquatic heritage lets you gain you can remove a skill versatility, or so you can forego skill versatility, which is 2 skill proficiencies, to instead gain a 30-foot swimming speed. Cool. Drow can forego the 2 skill proficiencies to gain the drow spellcasting things, so they get dancing lights, fairy fire, and darkness. The half elf can forgo skill versatility to gain elf weapon training or the cantrip. And then the wood elf can forgo versatility to gain elf weapon training, fleet of foot, or Mask of the Wild, which fleet of foot is the 35, and Mask of the Wild is the ability to hide in natural phenomenon stuff.
I actually didn't know they had those half elf variants because I don't own Swords Ghost. That's really interesting.
Yep.
That's kind of nice.
They're
Gives you a little bit of.
Yeah, you can, instead of taking 2 skill proficiencies, you can get a little bit of an extra ability from the elf. It's nice.
So being honest, looking at this, might as well just be a human or an elf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if you're playing, you might as well just be an elf.
Yeah, especially with the variants, like I give up the thing that makes me a half elf, like
the one thing that makes me human to
be more elf. Like it's like, oh, I'll just be. The only nice thing is the +2 charisma. I don't believe any of the
No.
The drow might have given you a +1 in charisma.
Yeah, I guess it's +1, and you get to choose where your +1 goes, which is nice too.
Yeah, I will say though they do get a +2 to charisma, and 2 others get a +1. So
I'm sorry, yes, 2 other +1, yes.
+4 altogether, which is nice. But again, I'd rather just be an elf or a human at that point.
Yeah. Especially with variant human.
Yeah, well, especially with variant human, which we will get to shortly.
Yes, which I have a feeling like the only players
where do we break. I hate to say it. I feel like half elf's a C. It's not as good as elf.
I mean, it literally is just elf.
Yeah, it's not as good as human.
It's elf with an extra +1.
So I guess it's better than elf then when you think about it. I guess, yeah, stat-wise. I don't know.
It's literally elf with an extra +1.
Extra +1. I guess that is true. Because you could just sub out for whatever you want.
Remove skill versatility for whatever elf race you want, so you can literally just be an elf with an extra +1.
Well, I guess we'll rank it 1 above elf then.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put it right in front of the elf.
Yeah, right in front of elf.
Because it's literally all it is. Halflings.
A little favorite, halflings. Halflings are underrated in my opinion.
They get some cool stuff. Okay, there's a couple of these. Dex +2 baseline. They have small for their size, 25 walking, feels bad. They get lucky, which is literally a feat.
Which is
they
great.
Just get it baseline. So when you roll a 1 on the D20 for an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can just re-roll it.
You have to take the result, but the likelihood of you rolling 2 1s is pretty slim.
Yeah. They also have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. You can move through the space of any creature that is a size larger than yours, which is really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
They know common and halfling, and then there's a couple of halfling sub races. There's the Ghostwise. I honestly don't know what this is from, but
Or ghost.
I see. +1 wisdom, and you can speak telepathically with someone within 30 feet of you. The creature understands you only if the two of you share a language, and you can only telepathically talk to one creature at a time. There's Lightfoot, which gets +1 charisma and can attempt to hide even when you are obscured only by a creature that is one size larger than you, which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip the 2 marks, and then there is Stout Halfling with a +1 con, and you have advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage.
There's also Lotsodon Halfling from the Explorer's Guide to Wildermount, which is a +1 to wisdom. You get the Druidcraft cantrip. Level 3, the Entangle spell. Level 5, Spike Growth, and you can use them once per long rest. They don't require the material components. And then Timberwalk, ability checks made to track you are at disadvantage. You move through difficult terrain or non-magical plant and overgrowth without expending extra movement. That's from Wildermount.
That's neat.
So in my opinion, Lucky is amazing.
Insane.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at like tier lists
Never
of
not
like
good.
feats, and it's always
Yeah,
like
Lucky
S
is like
tier.
always at the top.
Yeah,
It's just incredibly
it's
good.
amazing, and I feel like their subs are good too. Like that Lightfoot, I can hide behind a naturally larger
Yeah. Literally, if you just
ally.
have you have a human in front of you and you can hide behind it.
Yeah, Stout, advantage against poison and resistance to poison damage. We've ranked resistance to things higher.
Yep.
And I even think the Ghostwise with the telepathic thing, well, maybe not as good in combat as the Lightfoot or the Stouts, is kind of a cool role playing or like communication feature. I like halflings. I think halflings are underrated, very underrated. I think halflings are an A.
That's what I
I'd
was
agree.
thinking. I was thinking, honestly, Lucky alone makes it an A tier.
Yeah.
Yes. Where an A? Where do we put them?
Man, I guess the question is how powerful, how much do we value Lucky?
How much is Lucky good?
Is it better than Dragonborns? Is it better than Kobolds? Is it better than Asamars?
Well, we got to keep in mind the Dragonborns are up there because of the
The
chromatic
Dragonborns
ones,
are up
and
there
they're not in
literally
S
because
tier
of
because
the
of
thing.
everything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not S tier because Player's Handbook exists. If Player's
I
Dragonborns
I
didn't
think
exist.
I think halflings are better than kobolds, which probably shouldn't be an A tier to begin with. But
Well, I mean, free advantage is incredible.
yeah,
Not attack rolls.
The only thing I will say with Lucky is it's you have to roll a 1. So if you roll a 2, you're still screwed. But for all those times when you needed that hit, you just happen to roll a 1, and you're like, damn it! You're like, never mind, I'll roll it again.
It does mean the gnome basically can't nat 1 anything. They can. Very, very hard.
It's very hard.
Next up is half-orc.
Yeah, half-orc. I tossed my halfling right under or right above kobold.
Yeah, I put mine between kobold and lizard folk. So half-orcs, they get some cool stuff. They get strength +2, con +1. They are medium creatures, 30-foot movement, dark vision. They gain proficiency and intimidation. They have relentless endurance, so when they're reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 HP instead. You can use this once per long rest. They also have savage attack, so when you crit with a melee attack, you can add an additional weapon damage die 1 time and add it to the extra damage of the crit. And then they know common and orc.
Yeah, so better orc.
Better orc.
Honestly, though.
Yeah,
savage attack is great. Relentless endurance is insane.
Both of them are phenomenal. I mean, how many times was Stock using? I mean, well, his barbarian got it too at one point with like an additional savage attack-esque ability. But how many times was like, oh, I created, excuse me, as I just take another D12 out of my thing and roll it on you?
Yeah.
Or even relentless endurance. You knock them down and they get right back up. I know it's 1 HP, but that 1 HP is the difference between winning and losing.
True. I mean, that 1 HP basically gets you to your next turn, or at least has you
You
another
hope
attack.
it does.
Well, at the very least, it stops someone else from taking damage.
Yeah. Makes the enemy waste another turn on you unless they're casting a spell or something.
I'd say half orcs at least a good middle A
solid
tier.
like A. Yeah.
I say it's a solid A too.
I think it's definitely weaker than literally having Lucky, but
Between halfling and kobold, then.
Yeah, sounds fair.
Oh, and then
human.
humans.
Oh boy, humans.
Oh boy.
These things are dumb, but only because variant
These
exists.
things are
If
dumb.
variant human didn't exist, they
They'd
would
be
not
like
be like they would
Yeah,
literally
they'd
be like C tier. But
Yeah,
because
they'd be
variant
C
human
tier.
exists, oh man. All right, so they get to choose any of their ability scores to increase it by 1. They are medium creatures, 30 foot walking, and they gain a language, as well as common. Heal. Oh no, that's okay. That is everything.
Yeah,
But there's variant human, which gives you 2 +1s. You gain a skill of your choice and a feat. Plus you have the 30-foot walking speed and medium size.
Yeah, if you play a human, most people I know play the variant human, which is how I believe humans were in earlier editions, or at least 3.5. The standard human getting a +1 to everything is
it's nice.
It's okay. It's
not
good
too
if you have
great.
like a bad stat and you want to raise everything up so you don't have like a minus in something, but it's not great. Where the variant you can be a little more pinpointy, but the feat. The real reason you pick variant human is so that you can take the Sentinel feat or
Polearm Master
or great weapon fighting or dual weapon fighting or
or
two weapon fighting
Warcaster level 1.
Oh, yeah,
or,
right off the friggin' back.
Like
And,
you're playing a human because you're min-maxing and you want that feat.
Yeah. Humans are really awesome because with feats, for those that don't know, when you level up, or there's certain levels where you get ability scores, you can either increase your ability scores or you can take a feat, so you just immediately get one of these things for free. They're a great way to differentiate your fighter from another fighter or your wizard from another wizard. A lot of them are kind of broken.
Really, you can
I mean,
take lucky.
You can take lucky, yeah, right
in
off the
fairness,
bat.
though, the lucky feat is only 3 times, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Well,
for
as the
long rest.
halfling just has it literally every single time they roll in that one.
I can't with the lucky feat though. You just choose. I don't think it has to be a 1. I think you just choose
no,
to
it's whatever you want. Yeah, you can reroll any roll.
Yeah, which is really nice.
But you only can do
You
it
can do
3
that 3
times.
times per day, basically.
Yeah.
So I personally think variant humans, like I've played more variant humans than I've probably played any other race, and it's just because I'm trying to make a specific build.
Yeah, you get a lot of
And
customization with
I
it.
hate to say it, I'm min-maxing a bit, and I'm like, well, if I'm a fighter with a polearm and I take polearm master, I can do this, kind of stuff. Personally, I think humans belong in S tier, not because I necessarily think the stuff presented is
No,
S
it's because
tier.
of the feat.
Because of the feat, but I think because human can literally be anything in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, more people play humans than any other race. Some people say it's boring. Everyone jokes a human fighter is the most boring character.
You can have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of variety you can have with a human
There's
fighter.
so much variety you can have with the humans. They're everywhere. You can have humans that live in the north, in the south, in the city, in the country. There's so much role playing potential with humans that they get an S from me. I can't not give them an S.
I'd
My
agree.
only complaint is they don't have dark vision.
They don't have dark vision.
That's true.
Yeah, but I'm okay putting them at the bottom of S.
Honestly,
I like that. Just because everything else in S tier has dark vision and also really good abilities.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah. In terms of abilities, in all honesty, if I legit had the rank human, I'd probably put it down by dwarf, half elf, and elf. But with that feat and with what human represents, in my opinion, in the Dungeons and Dragons world, they're an S tier race.
Yeah.
All right, and let's go ahead and do the Haragon and Fairy real quick.
Those are people. I actually don't know too much about these. I haven't really looked at them too much.
I've read because I have the Witchlight book. I've read them a few times, and I have opinions.
So Harangan, they're bunny people.
They're adorable.
I actually don't have these right.
It's all right. I can read them because I can.
I'm pulling them up myself here.
All right, Haragon abilities. You get a +2 to an ability score, and a different. Okay, so you get a +2 and a +1, or you can increase 3 different ability scores by 1. So
yeah,
you have
that's something they've done with a couple of them.
Yep. You can do common in one other language. You're a humanoid, medium or small. So you could be a medium-sized rabbit like Bugs Bunny, or you could be like a tiny bunny. 30-foot walking speed. So even if you are small, you don't get that thing. You add your
Ooh,
proficiency to
cool.
your initiative.
That's cool.
Ooh.
That's an actual like class ability for a couple of, or a subclass ability for a couple of subclasses.
That's good. You get perception, lucky footwork. If you fail a dex save, you can use your reaction to add a d4 to the save and potentially turn the failure to a success. Can't use the reaction if you're prone. No limit to that.
Or your
Oh,
speed
And
is
geez.
0.
Yep. And rabbit hop. As a bonus action, you can jump a number of feet equal to 5 times your proficiency bonus without provoking opportunity of attacks. You can use this trait only if your speed is greater than 0. You can use it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus and regain all after a long rest. So
Wow.
an excellent like get out of dodge
Yeah. Get out
ability.
of here.
Get thing. I think Haragon is well made. I think both Haragon and Fairies are well made because if you look at the player's handbook races, that was where we started. That was our baseline. It felt as all of the books were going, they were making the races more and more broken. That's where you got like your Satyr and your Yantee Pureblood, which is technically one of those Volo like
Yeah, so Yantee is Volos
YOLO
and Satyr. I don't even think it's that.
Satyrs and Theros.
Yeah, which isn't like super new. It's a few books back now.
Yeah,
But
it's a few books back. I
like the
feel like
middle now, I think.
they've started to rein some of these races
Yeah,
back
they've
in a
definitely
little
pulled
bit.
back.
Yeah, and I think Haragon represents that well by giving you a good ability score spread with some real good abilities that actually go well with your race, like the bunny hopping and like the lucky footwork stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Make for a
Nice.
really fun dex-based class.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, it really makes for a good any class because you'd be a spellcaster and use your bunny hop to get out of a spot.
Got a
Yep.
I mean,
dodge.
just bonus action, jump away and then cast your spell without being at a disadvantage because you can jump away for free and not take an opportunity of attack.
That's a good point.
And the
Yeah.
ability score doesn't limit what you can take because they're taking the Tasha's basically do
system.
whatever you want. Which yes, we are fully aware that the Tasha's do whatever you want makes a lot of this tier ranking pointless because you can pick
Yeah.
whatever you want now. But I personally give Haragon an A, a high A.
I
I was
think so
gonna
too.
say A is good with me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. A sounds
Yeah.
good for me.
I'll put him under Tiefling personally because I like the flavor of Tiefling, but
That's fine with me.
and Fairy Boy.
Fairy Boy.
Aster, what
Link.
Aster will be now that there's a real race I can give her and actually make her
Fairy.
combat.
Why
So
should I have
fairies,
pulled up?
exactly same as Haragon. They can do a 2-1 or 3-1s for their ability score. They are a Fae, not humanoid.
That's
They
big.
are small, so they're not tiny, which is interesting because I think most lore related things declared they were tiny, but mechanics wise, I don't think it would work right. You have a 30-foot walking speed, no flying speed, interestingly enough, though.
Hmm.
They have fairy
They do.
magic. Oh, they do. Yes, they do.
Yes. It's a little bit
You have a
floored
flying
up.
speed. You go to your walking speed. You can't use flying speed if you're wearing
Wearing
medium or
Yeah,
heavy
they have
armor.
the Aracakra thing, but with less distance.
Yep. So your Druidcraft cantrip. At 3rd level, you get Fairy Fire. 5th level, you get Enlarge Reduce. And then once you cast Fairy Fire or Enlarge Reduce, you can't cast until you finish a long rest.
Can
You
also
can
use a
cast
spell slot. That's cool.
Yeah,
And
that
you
is
get to
actually really cool.
choose whatever intelligence was
Whatever your
for your modifier.
whatever your spellcasting
Which you
modifier
choose when you
is.
select it. So that's cool.
Yeah,
They
and
also
then you
know
can
common
fly.
and extra language.
So
Specifically, just thinking about this, just immediately what I thought of, because it says that their flying speed is equal to their walking speed, you could play a fairy monk, and because monk increases your base walking speed, you have a bigger fly speed, which is really cool.
I was just thinking that too, and you get like the unarmored defense ability there too, so your AC would
so
be going up too.
Kind of help with that.
Definitely lends itself
to
more to a speed or light-footed character than like a heavy tank, which I think makes sense. I could imagine a tiny little fairy as a paladin just walking up in their
that
big
would be so
fairy
funny,
plate armor.
Fairy with plate armor dropping 5th level smites on people.
If I hadn't already declared that Astra was going to be an Eldritch Knight, I would totally make her a cleric or a paladin, like a Twilight cleric in thick, heavy armor, just busting up there.
That'd be so funny.
That'd be so funny.
I don't know. You might see that. I might have to rethink. She couldn't fly, but I love it. Yeah, I don't think Fairy's as good as Haragon, just because
No.
there are
No.
some limits to their ability.
I
But
think it's some decent spells. Fairy Fire is always good. Ledge Reduce is
I like you
okay.
can cast him as a spell slot too. So
Yeah,
if
which is really
you
nice.
have spell slots, you just get 2 free spells essentially
Yeah,
in your spell list. Or
which
you
is
can
nice.
cast them once for free a piece. You know,
You get them once for free, and you can then continue with more
I
spell
mean,
slots if you need them.
free Fairy Fire is pretty
Fairy
good
Fire is
considering that
a
Fairy
great
Fire is
spell.
one of those spells that can be cast for a while.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you guys put Fairy?
Honestly, I was immediately thinking B or A.
Yeah, I was thinking high B.
I like
Yeah,
them
high B,
better than
low A.
Yeah, I like them better than Aracakra. I know they get better fly, but I like their
Yeah,
magic
but they
stuff
also they
better.
get the magic as opposed to pretty much
And
nothing
they're
else.
Fey.
Yeah,
And they are
yeah,
Fey, which is big.
yeah.
And they're Aster. So that's immediate S tier above Yantee Pureblood.
No.
Fight me, bro.
Unfortunately, I don't think Aster is more broken than literally being immune to things and having advantage on
Aster
all magic
Aster is
saving
the most
throws.
broken of people.
I'm okay with putting it above Aracakra and like below Gnome. It's definitely not better than Lucky, but still good.
No, I think it's better than Gnome personally.
I think Lucky
There's
is better than the free spells in Flight.
Well, Lucky's
Wait,
with
did we put
halfling, not
did
gnome.
we yeah, Lucky's halfling, not Gnome.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
put
Yeah, never mind. I'm okay putting it above Gnome. I'll put it below Vidalcan because Vidalcan had the saving throw stuff too.
I'm cool with that.
The half saving throws. I mean, Gnome had
Well,
it too, but Gnome's was only for spells.
well, everyone, we didn't do the Veridin, the Locath, or the 3 races that were presented in the Ravenloft, but it is
Yeah,
on
Dancer,
our end.
Hexblood, or Reborn.
Yeah, which I've read them, but I haven't read them that hard. They're really
Yeah,
weird. They're
I've
almost
like skimmed them, and it's
it's odd
not
how they
like
have them set
anything.
up. It almost feels like you need to be another race, and then you assume this other race because you keep like a bunch of racial abilities from. I'd have to reread them. I read them like once or
Yeah, you
twice, and
get so you
I
get
was
like
like, "This
it's
is
like the
weird."
Van Richten lineages, and like you pick one of the lineages, and you get
Yeah,
stuff.
it's. I mean, it fits with the whole Ravenloft theme, but they might be a
Yeah,
little tough to incorporate into another game. I think
they're
Reborn's
cool
cool. You're
though.
basically Frankenstein's monster.
Mm.
Yeah,
And Damphir, you can finally be a player character vampire without begging your DM to make a vampire homebrew for you because you need the urge to suck blood, or you could
and
just play Vampire of the Masquerade.
and Hexblood allows you to take the Hex spell for free. So you don't have to take that as a warlock. You can just get that now.
So there you go, everyone. This will be posted on every website ever created. So, and this is the only tier list that is correct. There are no other.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're kidding. It's just
No.
our opinions. If you love Goblin and Goblin is your S tier, you may be wrong, but
And I feel
There's
we
like
some
still
wrong
respect you.
answers.
it goes a little bit without saying. Natasha's custom lineage is immediate double S tier. It's literally better than everything.
Yeah, build your own
Actually
race.
stupid.
Yeah.
It's I mean it's literally better human. It's human with a +2, and you get a feat still, and you get
Yeah.
dark vision,
Mm.
and you get a free skill. Like, come on.
Yup.
Literally better bearing human.
Yeah. Oh.
But
Well, we are as a heads up and a reminder for everyone, we will not be playing next week
yeah.
Monday. A few of us will be away, including myself. So we will pick back up on the 20th of December. Sorry, tonight was a bit of a funky night. Again,
The stuff
technical
just kind of came up
difficulties.
last minute, pretty much.
Yeah, this
For
is kind of
everyone.
a weird stuff happened to everyone,
Yeah.
kind of. So life gets in the way, but we'll see everyone
Cool.
for the next set.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Bye, chat.
Bye, chat.
Was there people in the chat? Hi, bye, chat.
No.
Like and subscribe.
All right. Well, I've got some extra little things here to do. Even though I said bye, chat, it's not bye yet. I'll be bye in a moment. I'm gonna be continuing Ren King. I know last week was a little rough. I had a lot of sleep schedule issues. But we're good now. So I'll be continuing Ren King. I've been having a lot of fun with it. And I'm excited to play more of it. I've been looking forward to it. We get that rolling starting tomorrow. See how far we get. I don't know how long or how far we'll go. I'll try to start a little bit early. So around like the actual schedule time. 6. But we'll see. Otherwise that's all I got. So until next time.